I'd like to call to order the Village Regular Board meeting of June 12th, 2014 to order. It's 5:30 p.m. Clerk Simsky, can I have a roll call?
Mayor Gunther?
Here.
The clerk's here. Trustee Addington?
Here.
Trustee Barker?
Here.
Trustee Barry?
Here.
Trustee Nero?
Here.
Trustee Scott?
Here.
Trustee Seneca? Here. Manager Searle?
Here.
Assistant Manager May?
Here.
Attorney Zemanek?
Here.
And would I'd like to ask everybody to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will ask that Major Bessler, if you please lead us in the pledge.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Again, welcome. And we thought we wouldn't have anybody at a 5:30 meeting. This is very good. It's a good turnout. First, under open forum, if anybody wants to speak for anything other than what's on the agenda, I think Chief Mulhern went around and requested. I think I have one open forum request. Barbara Rue from Angel Haven, a yard sale. If you'd like to come to the podium and tell us about it.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Roos, and I am one of the directors of Angel Haven Foundation. The foundation supports over 200 families down in the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia. And throughout the year, people donate items to us. The items that are not sent down to Virginia, and these people are way down in the hollers. The items that are not sent, we put in a benefit sale. We get everything donated for these families except food. So the benefit sale is used to raise money to purchase food for these 200 families. And the dates of the sale are June 26th through June 29th. The good folks at West Hills Community Church are allowing us to utilize their lot again. That address is 213 East 55th Street. That's 2 blocks east of Cass Avenue. We will be starting to set up on June 23rd. So from that time on, if anybody would like to donate items to us, please feel free to drop them off. We are tax deductible, so I can provide a receipt. Last year, we had 2 young ladies that went to college. This was their first year. We provided them with laptops and college supplies and things like that. So we were very excited about that. During the sale, we do not mark any of our items. We just put them out, and we ask people from the community to come and take what they want and just leave us a reasonable donation. We have approximately 50,000 items in our sale. So I'm not marking it. Then on June 29th, we'll be closing the sale. And then on the 30th is when the tents will come down, and the tables and everything else, okay? I would also like to ask, I realize there is a fee for tents, the dump truck, and the permit. I'd please ask the board if they would be kind to waive those fees for us, because we have about 20 tents that we put up. The last thing I'd like to cover is every year, as items are donated to us throughout the year, storage space becomes a problem. If anybody in the community would like to let us use their garage, their second bedroom, their basement, their attic, their living room, their car, we certainly could use the storage space. What I have to do is rent a storage unit every year. All the administrative costs for the foundation come out of our own pockets. We do not take funds from the foundation to pay for these items. If any of the elderly people in the community would like us to come out and pick up their donations, they can certainly call me at 630-971-1842. And if anybody has questions at all, feel free to give me a call.
Thank you, and I think this is something we've done in the past.
Yes.
Unless somebody has an objection to the request, it'll be on our agenda on the 26th for approval. I think that's our next board meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to suggest, this is an event that comes up every year, and it'd be helpful if maybe like a month or so in advance, if you could submit this request to the clerk's office, then we can get it on the agenda. We have changed our meeting schedule now, so we only meet, we can't vote on it tonight because
Right.
so it would be helpful.
And in the past, they've always voted on it the following Monday, I believe,
Right.
is when. So I just watch TV and watch everybody say, yes, approved, yes, approved.
But the dilemma is on the 26th, if by some chance we said no,
I see.
so what Ron's saying, if you can
not a
come,
guarantee. Yeah.
the previous meeting and do this, then we would have had it approved
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Plus
you've
you
been
give more
doing this how many
publicity.
years? I mean, you used to do it at
This
your
is-
home, and it got so big, you moved it.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And this is our 15th year,
I thought,
so,
The other thing too is that way it'll go on our agenda. We can publicize it a little bit too before. It's good that you come here and you do it on TV. It'll also be on the agenda ahead of time and people
Okay.
will see that.
I'll certainly do that next year.
We're good.
Thank you for taking the time.
Thank
Any
you.
No,
questions?
thank you.
no?
No,
Good luck.
it'll be on our agenda.
And it would be-
Barbara, can I check that phone number again, 630-971-1842?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everybody, make sure we come now.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Open forum will be closed, and moving on to reports. I'm very excited about a couple of items I have. The first one, I'm going to ask our Chief Mulhern to please come to the podium. We've welcomed home one of our own last week, and I think Chief's got some information.
I apologize for having my back there, everyone, so, thank you, Mayor. Yes, last week, we had the honor of welcoming home a very important Westmont resident, Major Tom Bessler, from the village of Westmont, who is also in the U.S. Army. And Major Bessler is coming home for his 14-day leave, and he chose Westmont to spend his leave. His hometown has been his hometown all his life. And he was welcomed home by a special group, and I will have, if I could have Chris Vitek come up. He was the driving force behind this. He contacted the village asking if we could make this welcome home special, and we did. We had the fire trucks, we had the police squad cars, we had a parade from Oak Brook Hills Hotel to the mayor's home in Westmont, where when you turned the corner and saw all his residents were out there, and it was a sight to be seen. And I must also say too that along the parade route, I was very impressed, very proud to be able to see all the people out there on the street welcoming the major home. I will also say too, it was very close. Deputy Chief Gunther and I commented that it was very close to almost a Memorial Day parade. It was that type of a crowd. It was phenomenal. So with that, I'd like to introduce Chris Vitek. Most of us know him from the Lions Club. However, Chris also has another very important function, which he does, and he'll talk about that.
Mr. Mayor, trustees, you guys all know I'm a very busy person. This is just one other thing that I do. I ride with a small group, worldwide, called the Warriors Watch Riders. The Warriors Watch Riders is a troop support group. We are the umbrella under which has formed a nationwide coalition of groups and individuals dedicated to support of our nation's warriors. We exist for that purpose in supporting our nation's troops, current, past, and present, and their families. We wear many different colors. Some of us don't wear any colors, but we're proud of what we do. Some are bikers, like me. Some are not. People come out in four-wheel cars to be part of these. We are veterans. A lot of us are. There's quite a few that are not. But we are men, women, and children, and what we have all in common is an unwavering dedication to the support of our troops and their families. We are not a veterans group, and we are not a motorcycle group. Those of us who do ride use our motorcycles to draw public attention for our cause. and our cause is our troops. The Warriors Watch Riders' definition of troops includes veterans of all military branches from all eras, to include police, fire, and first responders. We honor our first responders and our veterans in the same way that we honor our currently uniformed troops. The Warriors Watch will provide motorcycle escort for military units returning from war, for units deploying, and for individuals coming home or going off to serve our country. The Warriors Watch works very closely with other troop support groups and provides motorcycle escort component to their good work when they need it. We will stand in a flag line at funerals for our nation's fallen heroes and veterans as a sign of respect and gratitude for their service. The Warriors Watch has members in chapters in not in all, but in 38 states, South Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, Germany, and Canada. We are growing daily as more and more American patriots experience for themselves the honor of welcoming home one of our nation's finest. The Warriors Watch does not and will not charge any money for our services. We do no fundraising, and we do not accept donations. All of our activities are carried out by volunteers on their own time, on their own dime. What we need are people to join with us, whether it's a motorcycle or whether it's a car, just to stand with us and cheer our homecoming heroes. Last week, Tuesday afternoon, the Warriors Watch riders, police, and fire department, as well as a great many Westmont residents, had the privilege and honor of welcoming home one of our very own from Westmont. This was a complete surprise to him. And believe me, it was a surprise. You should have seen the look on his face and some of the words. His plane arrived 25 minutes early. Whose plane has ever gotten 25 minutes early? Well, his sister, Tina, was very, very creative at stalling his arrival until our rally time. She did a great job. Now, for a little bit about Tom. Tom was born in Hinsdale Hospital on May 13, 1968, to Lee and Vivian Bessler. He went to Hinsdale Central High School and then went on to Western Illinois University for a bachelor's and master's in criminal law. He enlisted in the Army at age 18 and is currently serving a one-year tour in Afghanistan until November 2014. His future plans are to continue serving in the Army, and he is currently working to attain lieutenant colonel. Tom, now here's the background. Tom has served in Panama in 1989, 1990, Iraq 2003, 2004, 2007, 2008, and Afghanistan 2010, 11, 13, and currently 14. Tom has two sisters named Tina and Linda, and his daughter named Mia, which are all here. His mom, Vivian, is also here. Mr. Mayor, Board of Trustees, I would like to present to you Major Thomas E. Bessler.
Okay, be seated. As all police officers are fond of doing, I told the mayor that I would ask him some questions here tonight. Not an interrogation, as we both know what that is like, but just some questions. And Chris covered most of it. But first of all, if you could introduce who's on your shoulder.
This is Mia Jolie Bessler. Say hello.
Hello.
And for those who are in the room, and if Glenn can put it up on the camera, we took photos last Wednesday. Deputy Chief Gunther took photos. He was our event photographer and took photos of all the event. But the one photo that, to me, in our mind, and everyone who has seen this, that says it all, is the look on her face in the photo that's up on the wall, which you all can see, and that is priceless. And I just wanted to mention that, it's priceless. But with that, though, have been in the village. You've been a lifelong resident.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit more about yourself that Chris didn't cover.
Oh, boy. My God, a lot of people. I've always loved Westmont. I would grow up and, of course, put pennies in the tracks and do what most young kids do and cause trouble. I don't think I caused a lot of illegal trouble growing up in Westmont, but I did have my fair share. But it was my local community every year, the police, the fire, that my father would associate with Holy Trinity Church. And every summer, we would have the festivals in Westmont. So I grew up with a very strong love of community, and this is one of the best communities, and I've always appreciated that, and I always come back to it. So that's really what I have to say is thank you, Westmont, because my dad loved you, my mother loves you, my family loves you, and of course I will continue to love and serve you guys.
Thank you. I am also hearing from a little bird, I guess I would say. When you came home on Tuesday, you had one request that you wanted, first of all, right away. And even before Mom's cooking, from what I understood. And that was?
Yeah, I wanted some L&F pizza. So
another long time Westmont business, so.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how Mom felt about that, but okay. And if you could introduce your family to us all, please.
Well, this is my mother, Vivian, right here, my sister, Tina, my sister, Linda, and our neighbor, Claudine.
And when you go back, we were talking, he's here for a 14-day leave. When you go back to Afghanistan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, and in your position there, what do you do there?
Actually, kind of unique.
If you could tell us, I mean.
It's actually unique. Even though I'm an intelligence officer by trade, and my training is in law enforcement, I'm actually with Army CID now, which is Criminal Investigations. And downrange, I support them with support the criminal investigations as well as our law enforcement program, which we have police officers who are retired and serve on the field, helping conduct evidence collection, and support rule of law to support the Afghans so they can self-govern. So I work with law enforcement every day, all different types, and it's fantastic.
Cool, I agree. With that, anything else? I'll let the mayor speak, any of the board, and then
if any board, it's a pleasure to have you here and welcome you home. I think we're all honored that you are from Westmont and appreciate you coming here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say, well, hang on. We'll have last comments, and then we'll get the last order of pause. I also would like to welcome you home. Wish you nothing but safe travels back home. And be safe while you're over there, and so we can do this again very soon. Okay. Anything else you wish to say?
I love Westmont. Thank you for the support.
Thank you.
You want to open up anybody from the public?
Does anybody would like to ask him a question? If not, you know what? I know you probably got
things to do,
places to go, but you may want to sit for this next quick performance.
You don't want to miss this.
You don't have to, but
you don't want to miss.
You don't have to, but it's a 5 or 10 minute. My next item is, and I like Bob Plowman. Would you please come to the podium? Our Progressive Village Performance Network is here this evening to promote an upcoming show.
Boy, how do we follow that? My name is Bob Plowman. I'm the president of the Progressive Village Performance Network, and this year's summer musical is 13. Last year, Emily Banza here directed Annie, and it was a big success. And all of our shows seem to be a community involvement. And we get a lot of volunteers, and this year we're proud to say that we're teaming up with the Musicians Workshop, which is your next door neighbor over here, and they're providing the band for us. So they're providing the orchestra, and they're really good. So kids are really talented. I don't know where we've got so much talent. We're getting pulled from every which way direction now, and we're just so proud at the way this little performance group has snowballed. So we wanted to bring you a sample. Our performances are the weekends of June 20th and June 27th, right? The weekends up, right? Friday and Saturday at 7, and then matinees at 2 p.m. on Sunday.
Westmont High School.
At the Westmont High School. Thanks. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think you
All
covered it
right.
well.
So here to perform for you is Tessa Newman. Tessa comes to us from where?
The Lyric Opera of Chicago.
Okay, so go ahead and step around the podium.
Okay.
And she'll set up the music. This is What It Takes to Be a Friend.
Little foamy creep or a jerk trying to make him feel. Friend is the person who most of all cares about what you feel. And nothing is harder than learning a friend isn't real. A friend sends notes back and forth all day, doesn't care that you can't spell. A friend knows you've got a crush on your teacher, but a friend would never tell. Friends outside waiting the minute you both hear the bell. And if your heart is always breaking, 'cause the world is just not fair. When you're at your worst, your friend's the first one there, giving you some to lean on, and that's what it means to be a friend. A friend won't smoke when she's in your room, or laugh at the poems you write. A friend won't go and start kissing your brother the minute that you're out of sight. A friend is the person who calls 16 times every night. And if your heart is always breaking and you want to run and hide, when your hope is gone, your friend is on your side. Someone moves in the wrong corner, and you want to show him you care. So you give him all your last month of vacation and all of the time you can spare. And then on the first day of classes, he acts like the night even there. That he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He'll never know what it means to be a friend.
Okay, the show is about a Jewish kid who's from New York City, and he gets displaced because of a divorce to Appleton, Indiana. So he has to fit into with a group of students. So as you know, it's hard to fit in when you've got labels when you're 13. Here's Michael Winter. He's also you're from Naperville, right? Okay, and the rest of the cast of 13 doing Being a Geek.
Like spread out? Or?
Yeah, just just go ahead and,
And Bob,
Get
how many
behind-
are in your, how many in the cast?
I believe there's 27, 28, yeah.
They're so cute.
Just go behind him.
Oh,
There you go. Just line up behind him, spread out.
phenomenal.
Yeah, turn around, face the other.
Playing through here. It's not playing through this thing.
Oh, we're having technical difficulties.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Being a geek is the loneliest thing in the world. I gotta tell you, Rabbi, when you're a geek, it's the loneliest thing in the world. You're always wondering what everybody's laughing about and staring in at the world like you got locked out. Nothing is worse, it's a crime, it's a curse, it's the loneliest thing in the world. You wouldn't understand, Rabbi.
Oh, I know something about it. I'm a rabbi in Indiana.
Being a geek is the sorriest state ever known. I know what I'm talking about, but when you're a geek, doesn't go once you're gone or you're grown.
Tell me about it, brother.
Girls all roll their eyes and walk away when you get close. You have a fatal disease no one can diagnose. It's contagious, it's viral, it's a downward spiral. The loneliest thing in the world.
Geek, geek, geek,
But when you're cool, you've always got a crowd. You can break the rules 'cause you're allowed. You can sway the king in any direction. You've got a high-speed connection when you're cool. You're the epitome of charming grace. When you wanna get to second base, you can handle every slip and slide. But oh, if you're not, it's a shame, it's a drag, it's a suck in a bag. It's the loneliest thing in the world.
geek, 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 geek. Ah, geek, geek, geek.
It's like a cold
Geek,
wind blowing, yeah.
Ah,
Like the wrong movies, if you like the wrong bands, if you take the wrong classes, don't speak.
you're a geek.
If it's Saturday night and you don't have any plans, 'cause you spent the last week learning Greek.
You're a geek.
You're very well acquainted with the locker room
Geek.
toilet, 'cause your head been shoved inside it, just squeak.
I'm a geek.
If you start to get excited, 'cause you're
Geek.
gonna throw a party, but the people you've invited all shriek.
Geek,
You freak,
geek,
you're not unique.
geek.
It's just the life of a geek, but when you're cool,
When you're cool.
you can rally when the blues attack. Your problem just rolls off your back. Handle every slip and slide. Taking your stride when you're cool. You don't care that people disappear. You don't care that your dad's not
so everybody come out and see these kids. They're great. They make us look like geniuses. So, thank you guys.
Thank you, Bob.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Made it down to the street fair.
And I was going to say,
See it.
Major, you may want to go watch him on the street fair. He's going to follow you out.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you
So,
go.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, hurry
Thanks.
home. I'm singing in.
Awesome.
Hurry home. We'll see you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Tom.
Just another Westmont board meeting.
Yeah, that's right. You going out hooked on there, right? It's funny because when I'm driving and I play the music and sometimes it comes on. It's
Thank you, Ms. Bessler.
Yeah, those
it
shows are
resonates well, you
always.
know.
Have you been to any of their shows? They're all good.
And I love
Oh, Father of the Bride.
And again, thank you. I think once a year they come in and they do a quick 5 or 10 minute little preview of their show, and this is our community theater group. And even though we introduced a couple non-Westmont kids, majority are from our community. I have one more item, and then we'll move on to the rest of the reports. Chief Mulhern, we started I like to call him up to the podium, we started a customer service program within the village staff, and I think Tom would like to announce this month's award recipients.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of Officer Tasso Malamas and Officer David Hamblin, they were submitted for the award program, and they were selected to be the May recipients. They unfortunately both had previous scheduled commitments and couldn't be here tonight, or else they would be, and they did want me to pass on their thanks and appreciation. Back in May, I think it was May 12th, these officers responded to a call for assistance from a Westmont resident. And she wrote a very, very nice letter, and also with the letter was a thank you note. And I submitted the letter and the thank you note for these officers. And if I could indulge and read this thank you note very quickly, I think it sums up what these officers did in just very few words. Dear Chief Mulhern, please find and close the letter commending your officers, Officer Tasso Malanas and David Hamblin, for a job well done. I had a very difficult phone call to make requesting help in my home, and their professional manner, calm presence, and knowledge was spot on. I'm so proud to be living in a town 59 years knowing help is just a phone call away. And I thank the committee for honoring these officers, and they will receive their award when we meet with the mayor, from the mayor sometime hopefully next week, and also will present them the award in front of the roll call and let the department know about it as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And on the 28th, is that coffee with the mayor at the police station? I should have kept you up there.
Stay up here.
Because there's a program with that I think the residents be interested in hearing about.
We spared no expense on graphics for the upcoming coffee with the mayor. On June 28th at 10 o'clock at the Westmont Police Department, 500 North Cass, we'll be having not only the coffee with the mayor, but also a community-wide event on coyotes. And also we asked the Willowbrook Wildlife to talk about urban wildlife as well. Lately, and you'll see this on TV, no black bears, thank God, but we've been having in the Chicagoland area an increase of urban wildlife, mainly coyotes, foxes, not so much wolves, but coyotes in this area and throughout the Chicagoland area. And our department receives several calls on this type of wildlife. What should we do? How should I react? How can I protect myself, and how can I protect my animals, my domestic animals? And so we thought it'd be a good idea to have a community-type meeting. So Willowbrook Wildlife will be coming, presenting about a 20-minute to a half-hour presentation on our urban coyotes. And then they will also be addressing such things as bats, which, because if they get in the residence, can be very harmful to the family. We've asked them to talk about raccoons, skunks, and possums, and possibly how our residents can keep them away from the houses, and also how to deal with a coyote. So again, Saturday, June 28th, 10 a.m., coffee with the mayor. And I do have a surprise for the mayor even. One of our Citizens Police Academy volunteers has a relative in France who mailed her coffee. And so we'll be having French coffee. So that'll be an experience for us all.
That'll be a first.
And so we'll welcome everyone to come and spend time with the mayor, so he can hear your concerns and comments on our village, as well as learn a little bit about coyotes.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. And that's it. All I have. Clerk Simsky.
All I have to say is, be outside tonight, get out there, get to the street fair, and remind everybody that next week is the squad car night at the street fair, which will start on Thursday, and then you can go to the play either on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. But there's a lot going on in town. Get out and enjoy it. It's a wonderful town.
Thank you. Attorney Zemanek.
I'd just like to ask for an executive session to discuss collective bargaining negotiations. That's all I have.
Thank you. Manager Searle.
Thank you. Just it just seemed like it was a couple of months ago I had the pleasure of mentioning that our finance director had passed the next exam in the series of trying to attain his Certified Public Finance Officer certification. And just got notice this week that he passed that final 5th exam. It's there are 5 core areas. So we'll be getting some formal documentation on that, but I thought the board would want to know that this evening. I was a little upset that he didn't tell me earlier. Been back from vacation a few days and didn't realize he had passed the exam, but congratulations.
Congratulations.
He's worked very hard and he's done these exams in a very short
And we're going to move the trustees, but what I'm going to do is combine the committee reports of trustees. So we're going to start with the trustee that chairs Administration and Finance. Trustee Addington. So both, you get to do both
at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, Administration and Finance, we have been doing our periodic budget reviews that have been sent out to all the board members. You just saw the presentation of the newly implemented Employee Good Customer Service Initiative, which I think is a great thing. And we will be meeting, I believe, in 2 weeks. So our handsome and highly dedicated finance director is going to be working with me on the agenda for that meeting, and we'll meet at 4 o'clock in 2 weeks. And then the only other thing that I had was just something as we move on to this next year, if maybe somebody could put together a list of the what committee assignments are coming up that need to be worked on, so we're all aware of it. I'm just, you know, between the various commissions and things. Those are your appointments, but it'd be nice to know which ones are coming up and due.
I think we were having the, since some of them haven't been filled for a while, and we're looking at the terms to decide on the best way to approach that. So I have Manager Searle and Attorney is looking at it.
Good. And then the only other thing I had was to remind everyone that our own Hank Angeloni is going to be honored next Monday at the Darien Village Hall. He was nominated by us for the first ever Darien Lions Club Humanitarian Award, and it covers about a 7-community area that they're giving this award to, and Hank was the very first recipient from Westmont because of all the things that he's done, especially the People's Resource Center. So that will be at the Darien Village Hall, and anybody that can make it, please try to honor Hank. And that's it, sir.
Thank you. Building and Zoning is Trustee Barry.
Currently, we are working on updating our codes to the 2012 International. Currently, we're on the 2006 system, 2003 system. And so we're looking at cleaning up some of the codes that don't apply anymore and improving, and overall improving the village when we do that and simplifying the codes. And I'll go ahead and take the environmental improvement. I'll go ahead and jump on that. We were canceled this week, but rest assured, they are working hard to reduce our carbon footprint and also make it a wonderful village and green. To my reports, I'd like to congratulate our graduates. We had a great high rate of return on graduation. I'd also like to congratulate the baseball team on their 3rd place finish. Then lastly, I was able to attend the Cop on Top of the Roof last week. And I was one of the people who got a t-shirt, and I was so excited to get this t-shirt, and I was looking for Westmont on the back of it. Well, then as I read the t-shirt some more, it was only for the top donations. So I personally am putting a challenge out to the Westmont Police Department on the Cop on Top. I would like to see that Westmont Police Department get on that T-shirt next year, okay? So that's all I had, and thank you for your, yeah.
He opened the door for you.
We will accept the challenge. Sergeant Gruen and other officers, Sergeant Schlicker, Sergeant Gabrielewski, and Officer Dominguez are all on the committee, and we're working hard. We do have a fundraising event coming up in August, which we'll talk about later. But very briefly, thank you for all those who came out. And just at one event, Cop on Top, we made $2,200 for Special Olympics. And statewide, the total was $400,000, all for Special Olympics.
Very good.
And if you watch TV, Fox News at 9:30, I believe on Friday, the national games, I believe, are in New Jersey this year, if I'm not mistaken, coming up this weekend for Special Olympics. Fox News has a special on Special Olympians. And so I thank everyone. And yes, we accept your challenge.
Very good.
Whether we'll make it or not, I don't know, but we'll accept the challenge.
Thank you. Carol,
That's all I have. Thank you.
Public Safety Trustee Seneca.
Thank you. Nothing to update on public safety. However, we will be having our next meeting on July 24th at 4 o'clock here at Village Hall. This is your community. So the public is welcome and encouraged to come to these committee meetings. It's a perfect forum to ask your questions. If you have suggestions, ideas, come out to our committee meetings and find out what's going on. We would welcome you. Also, if you have a smartphone, if you haven't already added the Westmont app, make sure you do. It's absolutely incredible. Anything you need is right there on that app. So depending on your device, either go to the Play Store or the apps section of your iPhone and put it on. You won't be sorry. It's absolutely great. Anything you need is at your fingertips. And that's all I have.
Discover Westmont.
Discover Westmont. I just put in Westmont and it came up for me.
Thank you. Public Works Trustee Nero.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Well, first, I just want to announce that the village sold 100 rain barrels for this spring's promotion. So the promotion is finished for this season. We will look at it in the future, bring it back. I think I was very successful. The next thing I'd like to bring up is storm sewer jetting was completed as well, one of the projects that we did this spring, and it was very successful, along with the resurfacing. So I don't know if Steve May has anything to add on it.
No, just that found a lot of good things worthy of attention, and the maintenance. And we actually yesterday, and I believe the day before, continued that on. So there was new funds within the budget year too. So we were continuing to do that.
Awesome. It's a great project, so I'm glad we're doing it. And lastly, I just want to say this Monday, the pond project on 61st Street in Cumner is finally beginning. Plantings will be going in, and hopefully we can turn that pond around. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition. And the last thing is on August 7th is the next Public Works Committee meeting, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Public information, Jenny.
Well, we had our meeting like the last meeting, so our next meeting will be August 21st.
Okay, thank you. And our last report for both code enforcement and the Westmont First is Trustee Barker.
Thank you. Two things. Code enforcement met earlier this evening at 4 o'clock, and we welcomed a new full-time code enforcement officer to the staff. And these people are out working, making sure that Westmont is looking good and being taken care of, which is critical to everybody's property and property value. So we welcome that. And next Wednesday, no, 2 weeks, June 25th, Wednesday, June 25th, is another meeting of the Westmont First Committee. We'll meet here in the executive session room at 7 o'clock. That is something that I invite all the Westmont residents to participate in, where you can get information about what's going on in Westmont as far as shopping and supporting Westmont in a positive way. And that costs you nothing. It's just about getting information that's valuable in our community and helping us help ourselves. So that's Westmont First, June 25th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more, I did tell a small fib there. It's Economic Development Trustee Scott.
Our last meeting, we have an applicant that's looking at putting a assisted living facility down on 63rd Street on the south side of the street. So we're working on that. And our next meeting is going to be July 3rd, Wednesday, 9 a.m.
Second.
Second?
My second.
I'm sorry, you're right, second.
Is anything, Larry, did you want to add as an update? No?
Larry, you want to come up if you got anything, or
Not tonight. Okay, thank you.
go to the car show?
Agenda item number 6, items to be removed from the consent agenda. Are there any board members requesting that items be removed from?
I'm sorry, the manager has
sorry.
one more item.
I apologize. I forgot to mention one thing that I think is fairly important piece of information for the public. Many of you may already be aware that our 2-year agreement with First Energy is due to expire in August. This was part of the electric aggregation program that we entered into with Downers Grove. You may already be aware that Downers Grove has decided they are not going to pursue the aggregate electricity program at the expiration of this agreement. We have looked at pricing from both the current vendor as well as other vendors, and the pricing is nearly very comparable, almost the same as what ComEd has with its current pricing contract, which runs from October 14th through May 15th. Now, when we went into the program 2 years ago, if you recall, we had to do a referendum. Our vote was very, very close. It was 50.11% in favor of doing electric aggregation, which would mean, again, that we went out on behalf of the residents, entered into a contract for what ended up to be a savings of 42% over what they had been previously paying with ComEd's normal supplier. There's been a shift in the market in the last 2 years. There's been a balance. We don't see an advantage to go and continue with the electric aggregation program. So I wanted to mention that tonight, announce that formally. There'll be information on our website in the next 24 hours also explaining that. This is something we can review again in the future. Residents, just like businesses have for a number of years, you are free to go out and, if you can find a better deal, contract with somebody to be your supplier. Hopefully what you've learned, or people have learned from this aggregation program, is you're going to see very little change. A lot of people were concerned that, would I get a bill from that company? I always, I want my bill to come from ComEd. That will all stay the same. ComEd is in the business of supplying power. They don't generate it. They haven't been in that business for probably the last 20 years. I think a lot of people in the general public has not realized that. That was the purpose in the electric aggregation program, was to try to educate people that there are better prices out there with vendors, and you can go out just like you can go to the store and price things and buy things. And you can do that at the end of August. You'll be free to seek your own supplier if you'd like, or if you do nothing, you will get the ComEd rate, which is going to be 7.42 cents per kilowatt hour. So just want to announce that, and I apologize, I meant to have that on my list of things.
No, that's fine. That's a good information for everybody. Thank you. Agenda item 6, the items we removed from the consent agenda. Are there any board members requesting that any of the items be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd ask that Manager Searle please read the consent agenda.
Okay, the first item is village board minutes. Board to consider approving the minutes of the village board meeting held May 29th, 2014. The next item is the finance ordinance number 14 in the total amount of $1,403,315.13. Next, following that, we have purchase orders. We have purchase order 11033837 to Amalgamated Bank of Chicago in the amount of $739,104.06. This is our annual debt service payment. Then we have purchase order 11033820 to Mead Electric in the amount of $65,000. This is an annual contract that we have for street repairs and locate service. Then we have purchase order 11033855 to the Westmont Park District in the amount of $25,000. This is for shared employee services regarding landscaping. And then we have two more purchase orders. Purchase order 11033807 to All Traffic Solutions in the amount of $12,190. And this is for speed sentry equipment. And then finally, the last purchase order is 11033787 to the Westmont Park District. And again, this has to do with shared services regarding landscape services. And then the total amount of purchase orders in the finance ordinance is $2,252,445.32. And that is the extent of the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve as read?
Motion. Okay. Motion to approve, Scott. Second, Addington.
Motion been made and seconded on the question. Anybody from the audience have any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Thank you. We do not have any unfinished business. We'll move on to new business. A, 6 South 611 Van Industrial Drive, Great Lakes Auto Sports Special Use. Board to consider an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow the retail sale of classic automobiles as an accessory use. Manager Searle.
Applicant is looking to sell classic automobiles as an accessory use to his primary operation of restoring and repairing classic automobiles. Retail auto sales in the M District require special use. All activities, including storage and sales, will occur indoors. The building is in the South Westmont Business District TIF area, but the property owner does not plan to redevelop this lot in the near future. Property is not located on primary frontage. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with standard special use conditions. There was no public comment. The Economic Development Committee also reviewed this and gave a positive recommendation. And I believe the petitioner is here to answer any questions.
Would you like to add anything?
Well, I'd like to thank Jill Ziegler and the village board for putting me on the agenda tonight. I think that you know, if there's any questions that you would like to ask me, you know, about it that weren't covered in the review.
I think everybody would like to know who you are.
Yes.
They're watching.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll talk a little bit about, we're going to be reconditioning and restoring and servicing post-World War II classic automobiles from the facility at 611 Van Industrial Drive. We have about 6,000 square feet of floor space that will be used for service, storage, and a show place for the cars. We plan on 3 work bays and 3 or 4 employees within the year. All the cars will be stored inside. Dismantling, reassembly, and detailing work will be done here, but heavy body and paint work will be farmed out to specialists with the proper equipment and expertise for high-end paint finishes. We acquire cars for ourselves, and after a restoration may offer the car for sale. These cars and our customers' consignment requests are sold over the internet. After unanimous approval by the Zoning and Planning Commission, we're asking for a special use permit to include ancillary sales, selling cars out of this location. Cars sold on the internet to Illinois residents pay state and local taxes. 1.25% tax goes to the village and county. As restorations take a lot of time, we hope to sell 10 cars a month for between $500 and $1 million gross per month. You know, we're going to comply with all the special use standards that the village has asked for. There's already adequate ingress and egress to the property, and we expect to have very little impact on the traffic flow to our location with 1 or 2 visitors per day. My personal automotive experience spans 35 years, starting with British sports cars like Jaguars, MGs, Triumphs in the SCCA. That's the Sports Car Club of America. I progressed to single-seat Formula cars built Can-Am cars, crewed at the Indy 500, endurance raced at 24 Hours of Daytona and the 12 Hours of Sebring. I was in the new and used car business at a Chevrolet dealer as an assistant manager and in an exotic car dealer selling Ferrari, Lotus, and Maserati sports cars. Currently, I have a wholesale dealership in Indiana and will be securing an Illinois dealer license within the first month after the lease starts. In between and during my fun with cars, I was a trader at the Chicago exchanges and a hedge fund manager.
And your name?
And my name's Michael Mayenza, owner of Great Lakes Auto Sports.
Thank you.
Anything from staff you'd like to add? I think, Jill, if you'd want to.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. This is a unique use that happens to work well in a niche space, and all of the operations will be conducted indoors. So we're very comfortable with the use, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimous approval. They're particularly interested in the types of cars that will be sold at this facility, as you can see on the overhead. If approved, the business owner hopes to open his operation in July, and we welcome this new business to Westmont.
Thank you. Before I ask for motion, anybody from the audience have a question on this agenda item? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Barry.
Second, Addington.
Oh, Sue, you got it. All right. Motion been made and seconded on the question.
Yeah, this is more of a question for staff. I know at the previous meeting, one of the conditions of dealing with the owner of the property was to clean up the outside area there. Has that been done?
Yes, we've been working very closely with code enforcement. The tires were cleaned up, and we've also been working with some of the local businesses. One of them happened to be in the process of moving out, and so that space was cleaned up as a result. So we're very pleased with the progress that has been made at the property.
So Mr. Zygmunt has already moved out?
No, he's in the process of moving out.
He's in the process of moving.
His business wasn't the issue, but he is moving out
Well,
of
I
this
knew he
space.
was moving to
Still the
a
owner.
bigger location.
I have so much in the building that we're going to move out in the middle of July if he comes in.
Great.
And I'm moving over to Anchor Rock, which is another property.
I noticed that there's, every now and then as I come down Van Industrial, I see an 18-wheeler backed up to like a door. So things are still going in and out of there?
A little bit, yeah. I'm in the jukebox slot machine business, so we still do some business. But my business, they quit making jukeboxes, so we're downsizing. So it's time to go to a smaller facility.
So all your cars will be inside, sort of as a showroom. You won't be, because right now there's a car there with a big for sale sign on it, and I didn't know who that.
Not at that property.
It's got a price. It's
Not on
It's
my
on the
property.
south side of the property.
It might be my other property.
Might be the neighbor on the
other
south.
side. Yeah, I own that property, Zygmunt Circle too. There might be, but that's not my building.
Most of my cars, they're not weather tight, even though they're in good condition. They're just, that's the way they were built when they were old British cars, just old cars from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. European cars, they have to stay inside.
So you won't have security issues with them being outside?
No security issues.
That's good.
Any other questions?
Just a quick comment. This is a special use, and in the ordinance, there are some special conditions which the board has the ability to impose to protect the public health, safety, welfare. The board has traditionally imposed special conditions on auto dealers. Although this is unique because it's inside, the ordinance still contains some special conditions. I'll let you know what those are. I think they were discussed at Planning and Zoning. No loudspeakers on the property, like outdoor use of loudspeakers, that should not be an issue. No vehicle loading and unloading on 61st Street and Van Industrial Drive. Again, I imagine these vehicles are brought in one by one rather than on car carriers. All operations have to occur indoors, so no parking of vehicles outside. No test driving of automobiles on residential side streets. And employees have to park on your lot. They can't park on the side streets.
Yeah, adequate parking.
All right, good. Any additional questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Congratulations, look forward to you opening. Thank you.
Thank you.
New business B, 408 to 412 North Cass Avenue, the Cass Avenue Dream Homes. Board to consider ordinances approving the following requests from Cass Avenue Dream Homes regarding 408 to 412 North Cass Avenue to construct a new rural townhome development in the R4 General Residence District. 1, zoning code variance request to reduce required front yard setback. And 2 will be on one ordinance, and that zoning code variance request to reduce the required maximum allowable density. 3, site and landscaping plan approval. 4, preliminary subdivision approval. And 5, masonry waiver. Manager Searle.
The applicant requests a 15-foot yard setback variance, 30 feet is required, and 75,780 square feet density variance, 800,000 square feet is required, and a masonry waiver. Staff has concerns regarding that will be met after final engineering, and the project cannot be completed without that final approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval at the May 14th public hearing with public discussion about density, proximity to residential homes to the west on Grant Street, detention and setbacks. The Economic Development Commission also heard this project and gave a positive recommendation. And petitioners at the podium.
Petitioners at the podium. You want to give your name? And
Yes, Steve Vernon with Cass Avenue Dream Homes, and I'm here also with Mark Adair.
With Adair Architects.
He's going to address in a moment, after I go through quickly the project, a little bit about the masonry waiver, just to put everybody's mind at ease. But first, a little history. Some of you that have been around for a while may remember that I was in here a number of years ago for a project on the same address, 408 to 412 Cass Avenue. And at that time, we were going to do this particular project, which was 32 units, multi-story, parking underground. The feel of that particular project, the appearance of that project is as shown in this drawing. The project itself, we had great hopes for, but with the downturn in residential and the market for residential properties, we recognized that that particular project price point was going to be way out of reach. There are still some properties that are like that on the market locally, and the current sale price is far below the actual cost of construction. The plat of survey shown here is basically, years ago, we bought these 3 lots and we're asking to consolidate them so that we could have done that past project. And now we'd like to do a new project that we think is consistent with the market, and obviously we hope it's consistent with the goals of Westmont. This particular project is 22-row townhomes. So I'll take a moment just to address for a second the density. We had come in years ago and asked for variance on density from what was allowed to 32 units, and we did receive favorable approval. Now, we have reduced it from 32 units to 22 units. We had presented to the EDC a project with 24, but when we ultimately started working on engineering, we found that the detention basin was going to be a little too large to allow what we had hoped to have 2 additional units up in this part of the property, which is the northwest portion of the property. So we're back now asking to be allowed to do 22 units. The appearance of the project would look something like we see here. It's a preliminary view of the project. I realize black and white is hard to see, so I brought a color rendering of a project that's similar. I do not want to mislead you. This is not our project, but you can see our architecture is very similar. Yeah, since I'm showing that particular picture, I'm going to show another view because this comes to the other variance that I'm asking for. In this particular case, we're asking for a variance on the front yard setback from 30 feet to 15. Now, that's driven by a couple things. One, we think it gives a row townhouse look, and so you can tell here this project was built with very similar setback. But just as important, we've been asked by the village to donate at the western portion of this particular site a right-of-way for the future construction of Lincoln Avenue. So I'll go back for just a moment to that site plan or concept plan. So you can see along the western portion here, Lincoln Street, which has already been dedicated by, as you can see in here, the DuPage County Health Department, which is just to our north. That has already been dedicated. Some of the other properties in the area have been dedicated. And we've been told by staff for quite some time that the village ultimately someday would like to acquire all of the dedications necessary to put that road through. So in an effort to work with the village on that, we've agreed to do that, but that does take up a significant portion of this property, and therefore we're asking that we be granted this variance on the setback to allow us to achieve a density of 22, which, I mean, obviously you could say, well, just do fewer properties, but we're trying to have a density that's high enough to justify what we were going to have in extreme costs here for development costs, detention, and we also want to have it a large enough project that the homeowners association can sustain itself. We've presented engineering to staff, and as the report says, they have a few concerns which we've been addressing. I've talked with Kim Nicole myself. Obviously, I think most people in the village of Westmont are aware of the flooding that has taken place over the years at the DuPage County Health Department. So clearly we're going to be held to the highest standard to ensure we don't add to that. Probably more importantly, I think we're going to actually help with that. The detention basin that we're providing not only is large enough to pick up the water detained on our site, but there's a depressional area, and you can kind of see in this particular preliminary plan that the overland flow is from west to east. So we're going to allow that water also, which is on the property to our west, to flow into this detention basin and collect it. Yes, it's going to be a challenge. We're going to have to work very diligently to ensure that our detention basin has a solid clay base or a vinyl base so that water can't permeate through that and cause problems to the north for the DuPage County Health Department. And clearly there's concerns that in a 100-year event where there would be overflow, that overflow clearly moves without going to the north into the DuPage County Health Department, but due west or due east to Cass Avenue the way it's intended. So there's a few things we're working on. We have presented our ideas recently. I think they were well received. I think we'll get this achieved, but we all understand that until that is achieved, this project can't go forward. We do need your approval tonight to proceed with those revisions, but we understand clearly that we've got to get this achieved to make that happen. Now, the final concern is an ordinance that's been on the books for quite some time. The ordinance is 1872, and it is something that's been around for what I understand for quite some time, requiring anything larger than a duplex to be solid masonry. And we've asked we've presented this to the EDC, not that they could say yay or nay, but just so we could get a feel for the village. And we've presented that. And my architect is going to talk about it from a safety perspective. But what I wanted to do is talk just a moment about what that really means, because we're not asking for a relief from masonry. As you saw in the renderings, there's a tremendous amount of masonry in this project. What we're asking for here really is that the walls are not solid brick and block, and that the floors are not precast with a poured concrete topping. Now, we did not ask for that waiver in the earlier project because, as you can see in this cross-section, it was a multi-story building. The structure itself, in order to be that tall and to have those spans, needed to be solid masonry with steel reinforcement in there to meet the structural requirements. Also, in this particular case, we had families stacked one on top of the other, and therefore it was logical, and from a cost perspective, it was competitive to build it with the flex core floors. This particular project, though, is much more like just a standard traditional home. And we're asking to be allowed to build it in that format. In other words, we would have floor joists that are made out of wood superstructure, and then masonry veneer. Now, we're not just asking for that because we're trying to reduce costs. We are in a position where we are trying to do projects that are competitive with the surrounding communities. So we have gone out, and we did not cherry pick, we just went out and asked the brokers to provide for us a listing of properties that would be similar in the area that we would have to compete against. And they've done that. I've got 8 of them here, and you can see they go Orland Park, Naperville, Carroll Stream, Lombard, Lyle. So we went out and actually looked at each of these projects just to ensure that there was no misunderstanding. And at each of these projects, we found exactly what we had expected, and that is they're building exactly to the standard that we're being asked to be able to do here in Westmont. So this is a picture of a project in Naperville. You can see that it is wood frame construction. And again, we're going to talk about the fact that this is not substandard. We're talking about huge quality projects here that will meet all the safety and fire safety requirements of the national fire codes and everything that could be asked of us. We just want to be in a position where we can compete. In Wheaton, we found a similar project. Very nice again, part masonry, but no flex core. In this picture, you can see the wood trusses that are going into the project. In a community of Winfield, same thing. Again, no flex core, and we're talking about masonry that is similar to what we're trying to do. I have pictures like this from Carroll Stream and everywhere else, and I don't want to bore the community with that. What I would say, though, is there is a precedent here. Even here in Westmont, we just looked at a project today that was built some time ago on 63rd Street, and that particular project also, which is relatively new, was built the same way. And so we're just being asked to build something that's quality, but does meet the codes and will allow us to be cost competitive. Mark's going to take just a second to talk about any concerns that you may have on a life safety perspective.
Hi, again, Mark Adair, Adair Architects. The main thing I just want the board to, to make sure that they understand is that, what we are proposing is not in any way substandard construction. The International Residential Code, International Building Code, International Fire Code are all going to be met. They have certain codes for separation of units that are stacked horizontally and that are aligned vertically next to each other. What we have is units aligned vertically. The fire separation walls that we're going to be providing are going to be a 4-hour wall. The code actually only requires a 2-hour wall. Our units are going to be sprinklered. There are just standards that we're going to meet here that certainly are not substandard, that we're not looking to get out of anything, by not using Flexicor. So, if any of you have any questions for me.
Well, I'd ask staff if Jill has anything to add to that.
This was reviewed at EDC and received a favorable recommendation. With regard to the masonry waiver, there are no safety concerns since the buildings will be fully sprinklered and the applicant will be meeting all other building codes.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the audience that'd like to ask a question? If you would, we need you to state your name and then you can ask your question.
My name is Jim Habdus, and I live at 413 North Grant, which my property is directly west.
Okay.
When he wanted to put the project in 8 years ago, I was dead set against it. And I think Sue Seneca for sure knows that.
I remember.
Quite well. I am not all that opposed to this, but I do want to see Lincoln Street put in. That's the only way my property will ever be worth anything. You know, and if he's going to put buildings in the back, I'd like to know, is the sewer going to come through? Am I going to have access to that sewer and water and a storm sewer? You know, is the storm sewer going to extend to 360 feet from Lincoln Street and tie in somewhere? Or is it just going to be stuck where I am right now? That's all I have.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody has any comments to that.
I can answer it just very generally. As part of this project, what is being asked is that they dedicate that half of what would be Lincoln Street, that 33 feet, for that future use. There is no plan to put in a roadway at this time. All of the pieces of the right-of-way haven't been assembled, and for me, this has been going on more than 20 years. So we're just collecting the public right-of-way, and they're laying out their properties so that if there ever was a public road that went through, that could be done. But the utility servicing their facility is their water main and everything, and he's got a drawing up there too. So there is some water main on the back side, but that's currently dead end. At the time that the road would be developed, all those public improvements would be done at the same time as that. There's no plans to do that now.
Okay, so he was supposed to put up a fence, then, and that will be on the village's right-of-way.
It will be on the right-of-way until such time that we put that in. So if the road goes, they have the property on there now, and it is still their property line, right? So there would be no way to screen it if they did not require the fence to go up now in the right-of-way.
Right, it's kind of an awkward situation because we want to have the screening for the single-family residential behind, so that would go away once the street is developed, but until that time, they would treat it with with screening, with a 6-foot fence.
Is there anything we can do about I have a problem now with trespassers when coming through from Lincoln Street, 360 feet away, and it's constant. Riding bicycles down there through the properties, throwing bicycles over the fence at the medical center, jumping the fence, they're constantly there. Can we do something about the medical center fence, get that to be 6 feet also?
The village can't force that.
No.
The village can't require them to put up a fence, but certainly can ask.
Can you answer me this? Why is that parking lot on residential property?
I can't answer that.
Can you look into it and find out why it is? No. Why is there a parking lot that's all asphalt on residential property? I have to look at derelicts sleeping on the asphalt. It's 4-foot fence. It's not pleasant. Have people, I'm trying to sit in my backyard, have people waving at me and my wife while we're having coffee.
I remember the pictures and the testimony from planning and zoning. Again, we can't force them to put up a fence, but staff can certainly reach out to them and say, there's a problem, would you cooperate?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from anybody in the audience? If not, I'm looking for some motions. Items 1 and 2 would be one.
To do these, yeah.
Would be one together, items 1 and 2. So I need a motion for a zoning code variance request to reduce the required front yard setback, and along with it, the zoning code variance request to reduce the required maximum allowable density.
I'll make the motion to do the code variance request to reduce the front yard setback and the required maximum allowable density.
Second, Scott.
Motion's been made and seconded. On the question. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Looking for a motion for the site and landscaping plan approval.
Motion approved, Scott.
Second, Addington.
On the question.
Yes, I have a couple of things. One is, you know, when I hear townhomes, I think owner occupied. Do we have any protection that this wouldn't go into rental property at some point?
The only protection is to work with the owner and see if they'd be willing to put in as part of their covenants, conditions, restrictions of record, the CCRs or the bylaws for home ownership, that either all of the units have to be owner occupied or a certain percent have to be owner occupied. And we've done that. We've required that in the past, typically for larger developments that have been processed as planned unit developments. But maybe you can address that.
Well, we certainly, are not against what you're suggesting. We would like, for the rare case somebody has to temporarily rent out his, space, we're looking for owner occupies. That's our goal.
I've seen some beautiful subdivisions turn into rental.
Sure.
And it's something that I don't know that we want any additional rental in Westmont.
I think we can add that as a condition, and I think we can work on a percentage that would be appropriate. We did the exact same thing down on 67th and Cass with that, multiple buildings, condos in that case, but it was a concern of the board and a good concern, I think.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, we would add it to
approval, preliminary subdivision approval.
One of the ordinances. I don't know where it's most appropriate right now.
All right. Can I ask a question? I think you have 11 parking spaces for guests.
Yes, 22 units and 11 additional spaces, which is what I believe the requirement was. But we do want to keep in mind that every unit has a garage and, of course, a two-car parking in front of the garage. So
I can't remember. Were those two-car garages or one-car garages?
Two-car garages.
Two-car, okay. Yeah.
So in theory, you also have 44 extra parking spots here in addition to the 11.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have price range?
Our goal here is to have a couple of the smaller units start in the $289 range, and then the largest units on the end caps, which would be 3 bedrooms, would go up to about $349.
Thank you.
And again, just to the landscaping plan, I believe at the EDC, you said in the bylaws you're going to require like no trailers to be parked there, nobody to run businesses out of that residential and so forth.
Absolutely. Again, for this to work, we need to have a very restrictive covenants, and that's our goal. We want this to be very, very upscale, very nice.
Very well. Thank you.
Any additional questions on the site and landscaping plan approval? Not, then I'll ask for roll call, please.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Need a motion for the preliminary subdivision approval.
So move, Seneca.
Second, Nero.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the subdivision approval. On the question. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Nero, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can't get my mouth to work. Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
One final motion for the masonry waiver.
Motion to approve, Barry.
Second, Addington.
Motion's been made and seconded. On the question. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Congratulations. Look forward to the development.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Agenda item C, 115 East Ogden Avenue to Hinsdale Westmont Veterinary Center. Board to consider ordinances approving the following request from the Hinsdale Westmont Veterinary Center to build a new veterinarian office and indoor kennel facility in a B2 general business district. 1, a special use permit request to operate a veterinarian office. 2, a zoning code variance request for a veterinarian office to be located within 100 feet of a residence district. 3, special use permit request to operate an indoor kennel. 4, zoning code variance request for an indoor kennel to be located within 100 feet of a residence district. 5, site and landscaping plan approval. And 6, commercial masonry waiver request. Manager Searle.
Applicant requests special use and site and landscaping plan approvals to build an indoor vet and kennel facility due to the proximity to the single-family residential homes. To the south, distance variances are requested. The comprehensive plan denotes the site as underutilized and recommends the whole block for retail redevelopment. If the lot were combined with the east property, which is not for sale, the combined properties could be a larger redevelopment or expansion. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the special use and variance requests at its May 14th meeting, and final site plan was before them at the June meeting. Due to the residential proximity, board may want to add special conditions regarding hours, operation, and number of kennels.
And we have the petitioner, if you would please state your name.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tony Kramer. I want to thank you for letting us put this in front of you, this project, and present it to the village of Westmont. I'm a veterinarian. I've been a veterinarian for over 20 years, and I own 6 hospitals, one of those being the Hinsdale Animal Hospital that's located just under 2 miles away from the site that we're talking about. To give you a little bit of background on myself, I also have a broadcasting degree and have worked with NBC as a contributor for the last 10 years. And I also have a pet-related radio show called Pet Lifestyle Radio that talks about lots of pet issues. And one thing that I found when I started doing the media work is I did that to get the message about responsible pet care out there. But what I didn't realize was the amount of credibility and the amount of public relations and marketing that this had for our hospitals. And over the years, it's been something that's really made our hospitals more and more successful. And I'd love to just talk more about how that could, I think that could benefit and help the public relations in Westmont as well. But I can do that if that's of issue or of question. I'd like to just give a little history on Hinsdale Animal Hospital. Hinsdale Animal Hospital is a business that was established over 70 years ago. And our involvement occurred 5 years ago when we took the practice over when it was on the verge of bankruptcy. In the last 5 years, we've turned that practice around. We've doubled the gross revenues of that hospital and hence have outgrown the 70-year-old facility that we're in. Our goal was to move this to another site in Hinsdale, and we've been working on that for years. However, our thoughts of moving to Westmont were piqued when we found the site that we're in question today about. Our hospitals, I can give you a little background on that as well. Our hospitals are full-service practices. We're really wanting to bring something to the area that's not available. We do full medical and surgical care. We do advanced surgeries. We fly surgeons in from all over the country, from Tufts University, from Ohio State University, to do pretty amazing procedures, stuff that isn't done anywhere in the Chicagoland area, period. We also offer luxury boarding and daycare. We've done a great job of doing that in the past, but in this facility, we look to even advance that farther to the point where pets can board while their owners are away and watch TV, and those owners could be as far away as, you know, another country and flip on their smartphone and get a little look at how their pet's doing within the hospital. We also do obedience training in our facilities. We are doing that to address behavioral problems that pets have, that pet owners have with their pets, that are basically the #1 reason that many pets are euthanized and don't work out in families. And then lastly, something really close to my heart and something that we've spent a lot of time and effort to develop is a charitable arm of our business, which is called Help Save Pets, which has adopted over 10,000 homeless dogs and cats over the last 10 years. And we would love to see Westmont be a part of that feel-good story as well. The list goes on. We have students that come to our practices from all over the world, recently Barcelona, London, Peru, and all of the veterinary colleges in the States for training, surgical experience, and business experience in how to run a very fast-paced, large animal hospital. I think the last thing that I'll just address is why I think this is just a perfect fit for our business, this site. I understand the comprehensive plan for Westmont, and I applaud Westmont for having the vision to have that kind of comprehensive plan. But I see a few reasons why I think this business and the synergy that we have with the business next door really make for an incredible fit. Number one, we're looking to replace the existing motel that's on the site next to Pet Supplies Plus, which I think maybe enough said there, but we've also included in our packet a letter from the neighbor, the owner of Pet Supplies Plus, that in short said she would love to have new neighbors and described some of the activities that are going on that property that I don't think anyone would be happy about. Secondly, we're talking about moving a very successful business. Hinsdale Animal Hospital is doing very well, and our clients are predominantly from Hinsdale, Oak Brook, and LaGrange, and by bringing that business into Westmont, our hopes would be to retain those clients, and hopefully from the standpoint of Westmont, I would hope that they would come and have coffee and maybe buy a Lamborghini down the road while they're here, that type of thing. And lastly, I think the concern of we don't produce much sales tax, and I think having the concern of this business on prized parcel of land in Westmont and not contributing that way, I think the best thing I'd say to that is that the synergy that we would have, the complementary nature that we would have with the business next door, just makes this the site in Westmont or any place in the area that will make both of our businesses much more successful, hopefully exponentially. My discussions with the owner of Pet Supplies Plus, I told her the numbers of people that we would expect to see, and she said if her expectations would be that if we doubled the foot traffic through her parking lot, that she could very easily see doubling her gross revenues. And I think there's math that will support that, and hence be as though both of our businesses are helping to generate that tax income. I also have Jason Sanderson and Mike Matthews here with me, builder and architect. I think I've picked some of the best people in the country to do this project for us in Westmont. And Jason's built probably over 100 animal facilities. He knows how to fix the problems that people think might be associated with animal hospitals. And Mike, our architect, has done an outstanding job in spending a lot of extra money to make this place just a beautiful, eye-catching facility. So I'd like to have them do a little presentation. Thank you.
Hi, again, Jason Sanderson with RWE Management, and I'm just going to speak to a little bit about the building and a little bit about the variances we're looking for. One of the first points we wanted to make is that there will be no outdoor boarding, no outdoor use. Everything's going to be self-contained in the building, from the kennels to the doggy daycare play area. We are looking for a couple variations, one of them with the 100-foot separation from the residential, which you'll see in a picture coming up, how the building position compared to the residence is well over 100 feet. Again, a little bit about us. We've done over 100 projects in the Chicagoland area. We've won multiple awards nationally. Part of our specialty and the reason why we consider ourselves experts in this industry is usually the two major concerns when we come in front of boards is sound and odor. When the people think of animal hospitals of the old, there's usually a sound issue with dogs barking, especially from the neighbors. There's usually a concern. And then also the odor. They're worried about the dogs and being outside and the smell that comes along with it. You'll see in our floor plan, we feel like we've adequately addressed it. And based on some of the comments from the Planning and Zoning Commission, I feel like they feel the same way. Again, a little bit about the floor plan. Starting on the right, which is kind of the light pink and red area, that is our reception and waiting room area. That's the client areas. Kind of working your way to the left, the light blue is a arterial corridor of the hospital. The darker blue is where the doctors will perform minor procedures, surgeries, x-rays, things along that nature. In the orange, we will have what Tony alluded to in the beginning, is a kind of an adoption area where he'll display pets that have been rescued. Adjacent to that display area will be a bonding room so families can play with the potential adoptee and get to see if there's a good fit with the families. Working our way to the left in the yellow, that would be where the luxury suites are. And if you look at the second picture down, you'll kind of see in the first picture, these luxury suites, they're new to the market. We just completed some in the countryside area, and the space per pet is around 6 foot by 6 foot. So it's not the normal kennel that you're used to. The picture that Mike just popped up is a play area that we completed in the Geneva, Illinois area. Again, it's fully indoor. What you're seeing there is a synthetic turf. It has a drainage mat that allows the turf to be washed down, and it empties into a trench drain and is collected through the sanitary piping. These areas, they're designed by mechanical engineers that specialize not only in animal health but also human health. And so we put a heavy emphasis on the air exchanges inside the building. So I know there's a concern usually that, well, now that you're keeping them inside, isn't that just going to stink? And the answer is no. We handle it with so many air turns per hour to keep fresh air coming in there. And the point to that is that Tony is just as worried, if not more worried, about the sound and the odor within the building as anybody within the village. Nowadays, the clients do not want to walk into a stinky and smelly animal hospital. They expect more, and that's what Tony's trying to provide them. And then the second floor is where we're planning to put specialists. Tony kind of alluded to flying in specialist doctors, as well as potentially hiring local specialists. As designers and constructors in this industry, we're seeing more and more of these facilities that are in-housing specialists. It used to be that you would refer your cases out. In the last 2 years, we've built 2 facilities that are over 19,000 square feet, one in downtown Chicago, one just recently in Countryside. And we're seeing more and more of this where they're bringing in specialists and keeping it all in-house. And that's part of the difference in this facility versus other facilities is it's around 16 to 17,000 square feet total. It's not just offering doctor visits, it's potentially neurologists, CT scans. We're getting into physical therapy, obedience classes. So there's a lot more to this than just your normal animal hospital.
Thank you. My name is Mike Mathis with Linden Group Architects. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the site and how our project fits into the Ogden Cass Avenue district. Here you can see a site plan with the hospital located to Pet Supply Plus. Tony mentioned we have the ultimate respect for the comprehensive plan and really do feel that strongly that this is a good fit. And to go along with that, we look for as many ways as we could reach out to standards in that comprehensive plan to make this building really follow it as much as possible. Just a quick overview of the way the site sits today. You see the existing motel that is closer to Ogden than the Pet Supply Plus, and then there's a structure located off the back property line I think it's 5 or 10 feet off the property line. And then there's 2 curb cuts coming off of Ogden Avenue. One of the things we wanted to point out is we've heard from many people that the car dealerships in town are looking for more space. There's the potential for Porsche to look to expand perhaps across the street at some point if the market allows them to do that. So we just wanted to give you a pictorial if that was to happen, a 3-acre site, a comparable 3-acre site of Mercedes across the street, which is not one of the auto dealerships that is looking for more space, would provide Porsche with that same site acreage and would leave our site as a sliver site. And I know it's important because this site from street to street was originally talked about in the comprehensive plan as a overall redevelopment, trying to compile multiple properties. When Pet Supply Plus came in, obviously it's hard to compile those properties. If they were an opportunity to fill one of those spaces with retail use, but they kind of, I guess, put a roadblock in the middle for, if you were developing the whole site. So we see that along with our synergy with that use and the potential of, the auto mile to extend a little bit further to the east, or excuse me, to the west, that our use is, again, for another reason why it looks to be a good use. A couple highlights of features of the site. I mentioned there's 2 curb cuts currently at the motel site. We're reducing that to 1. We're looking at cross access between the 2 sites to provide safer egress out onto Ogden Avenue. We're looking at an entrance that both presents itself towards Ogden Avenue and towards the parking. So we're going to have 2 entrances that feed that lobby that you saw on the plan Jason presented. One of the, I think, comments in the comprehensive plan was buildings that both address the street entrances and provide close proximity to parking. So we feel like we're doing that with these 2 entrances. Another thing, although Ogden Avenue has a lot of traffic going down it, we want to try to encourage this idea of it being walkable. So I think I drove Ogden Avenue today, and there was maybe 3 benches along the stretch in Westmont. There may be more, but what we want to do is create a little bench satellite in front of our building that's surrounded and nestled into some landscaping to give that presentation out to the street. Also, a monument sign off the corner, which would also be landscaped. You can see I mentioned we would line up the buildings along the front, Ogden exclusion. Just a couple notes on the variance. Jason mentioned the 100-foot setback from the residential. Currently, we're 86 feet. So the back of our building to the property line is 86 feet. The residential property that's behind us is not stacked up against the property. It's a long, deep property where the house has frontage off this side. So the actual separation from our building to this house structure is 194 feet. So we feel like we do have adequate separation, and sound control, really, we look at containing all sound within the building, and Jason mentioned that's priority number 1, not only for the Village of Westmont, but also for Dr. Kramer's business. We will also have a fence as required along the back of the property to separate the residential use. But just a quick overlay to show how the existing motel fits in and that existing structure off the back, which is right off of the property line. Landscaping, we're looking at, landscaping that's at the existing site is pretty minimal. There's maybe 2 shade trees that have some substantialness to them. We're going to add 10 nice shade trees. We're looking at putting 3-inch diameter trees in from the get-go so that from the day we open, we have a substantial looking landscape. Where we can, we're going to anchor the building with landscaping where there aren't walkways up against it. And then the bench, I wish I had a blow-up of it, but looking at nestling that area with landscaping, really making it look pretty, as well as the monument sign. We have done preliminary engineering, just like the pet store. We're looking at a vault in the back that will be fed and then released out toward Ogden Avenue. Architecture, we're looking at taking the lead from the newer development on Ogden Avenue, the Walgreens, and looking at the Auto Mile. We want to develop a hospital that has the identity of what you would expect of a human hospital. So in the architecture, I think you'll see we're using a lot of stone, glass, brick to try to give that look. And fit in with the rest of the items in Westmont. There's just a picture of the hospital from Ogden. You can see the glass facade. We see at night, it will illuminate nice, present itself well, a really nice enhancement to Ogden Avenue. A close-up from the of a northwest view, and then from the parking lot. And just some straight elevations. And we do have material samples here, so if you want, you can take a closer look at them. And then I guess just to reiterate that we really see this synergistic use with Pet Supply Plus. We'd love to hear some questions and concerns. And I don't know, Dr. Kramer, if you have anything else you want to add, or.
No, I'll be glad to answer any questions we can.
Okay. Would I ask of staff, would you like to add any comments?
This site has been marketed for several years. It's been a difficult site due to its size, and as the board is aware, the comprehensive plan recommends this lot for retail redevelopment, and specifically that it be combined with other underutilized adjacent properties. Pet Supplies Plus used one of these lots, and Elite Repeat is located directly to the east and is not marketed for redevelopment. The vet was attracted to the site primarily due to the Ogden Avenue exposure and the proximity to Pet Supplies Plus, and the Pet Supplies Plus owner, Virginia Pearl, has written a letter of support that I've passed out for review. The EDC, our Economic Development Committee, reviewed this proposal and had a nearly split vote. Concerns were expressed about not meeting the comprehensive plan goal of a retail redevelopment, but members did respond positively to the new building and synergy between themselves and Pet Supplies Plus. If the use were to be approved, staff would recommend hours of operation and number of kennels be addressed and limited due to the proximity to residential.
Thank you. What I'd like to do now is open it up, but with a couple just comments from me. I think as the trustees know, and I have received numerous emails and information about this project, and this really is not a public hearing, but we want to hear the residents speak on it. What we'd like to do, though, is not have things repeated, and I know that definitely the residents have one spokesperson, and normally we try to limit it to 3 minutes, but because Dr. Main is representing kind of the group, if you'd like to start off with the comments. You said that you have a little bit more than 3 minutes. And if anybody else would like to get up, just state your name. And again, we're trying not to be repetitive, but if you have something in addition to say, we'd love to hear it. And all we do is ask you to state your name and probably your address too, right? Jenny likes your address too, so.
And Mayor, one other comment, if I may. This is not sworn testimony under oath like we would have at the public hearing before Planning and Zoning Commission, so you have to give this some limited weight as opposed to testimony that was presented to Planning and Zoning and then you're hearing it again. Obviously, you want to hear what the residents have to say, but you do always have the right to refer this back to Planning and Zoning if you wish any of this testimony to be under oath. And just another thought, based on some of the emails questioning whether this use is necessary because some of these services are already provided in town. From a zoning standpoint, competition or trying to keep competition out is not a valid reason for denying or granting a request. So I just ask you to keep that in mind also. Thanks.
I think we're well aware of that.
Yeah.
We've addressed it a couple times, so.
Well, I'm Dr. Ellen Main. I'm the owner of West Suburban Vet, which is located at 518 North Warwick Avenue in the Ogden and Cass district. And I live in Downers Grove, actually, 5921 Ridgewood Circle, if you need my Downers Grove address. So we unfortunately were outside of the radius of notification for this project, so it kind of flew under the radar. We became aware of it about 2 weeks ago. Otherwise, we would have been able to present more officially at the appropriate time, so we apologize for that. We've obviously given this a lot of consideration. One of the things that we were thinking about was the somewhat unawareness of West Suburban Vet from the zoning meeting, and so we've organized a presentation that involves more than just me. So what I'd like to do is introduce Dr. Murky, first, and then she'll be followed by Dr. Grover and then Dr. Vitt. And then I have the meat of it here, but I was actually scheduled to be the fourth in our
I'm
group.
sorry.
So if it's all right to have Dr. Murky come up,
That's
who
fine.
is a Westmont resident, she'll start us off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and village trustees. While watching the May 14th Planning and Zoning Commission video, it came to my attention that the Village of Westmont may not be fully aware of the presence of West Suburban Veterinary Associates at the Cass and Ogden Corridor District, the stature of the hospital in the community, or the depth of the services that are offered. My name is Allison Murky, and I've been a Westmont resident and associate veterinarian at West Suburban Vet for about 6 years. I just wanted to take a moment to help you take notice of the gem that we already have here in Westmont. The building itself is remarkable, and I wish I could show you a picture, but I don't know how to change it over to here.
You can just set it on.
Just slide it on there. Yeah.
And they'll. Yeah.
Thank you. Look at that. Excellent. It's impressed clients and Westmont residents alike. Shortly after being built in 2005, the Westmont Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau gave the facility a Community Improvement Award. Nearby Westmont residents often praise the landscaping design as well. They feel that the presence of the hospital has enhanced the appearance of the area significantly. The West Suburban Vet has also given a merit award for hospital design by Veterinary Economics Journal. Sorry, you can't see it all very well. There you go. And it was featured in the publication due to the building's innovative floor plan, the cutting-edge technology, and the beautiful construction. The hospital has also been showcased in other periodicals. There you go. Bringing positive publicity for the services that are already available in Westmont. In 2011, Westmont Progress explored our unique ability to perform stem cell therapy and improve the quality of life for patients suffering from traumatic and degenerative diseases such as joint injuries and arthritis. The West Suburban Vet also places great emphasis on continuing education. So we fly in specialists from all over the country for meetings, and basically the Westmont Progress took note of one such instance right down here, where we were honored to have the anesthesiologist, Dr. Nora Matthews from Texas A&M, and she came in to help us improve our surgical patient care. West Suburban Vet also has a close relationship with a multitude of rescue organizations, including the West Suburban Humane Society, the Hinsdale Humane Society, PayPal's Shar-Pay Rescue, Chicago Pit Stop, and Wheel of Paws, just to name a few. We have partnered with the Hinsdale Humane Society to provide the Jordan Christ Memorial Externship, which is for veterinary students, and they come to our hospital, learn techniques, and learn how to be a cutting-edge veterinarian. Through the Chicago Pit Stop, we were instrumental in helping one very special pit bull named Morty, a former bait dog that was found emaciated and having serious injuries. His transformation into a robust 70-ish pound lap dog right now was documented in the Westmont Progress as well. He became a bit of a Westmont celebrity, in addition with people coming in from all around just to meet him and to meet the Westmont veterinary staff that helped them thrive. West Suburban Veterinary Associates has been a positive fixture in the Westmont for over 50 years, and it has been providing excellent care for clients, patients, and the community alike. Since there's already an outstanding veterinary hospital in Westmont, I oppose the proposal to allow the redundancy of building a new veterinary service facility on Ogden. As a resident of Westmont, I feel that it would not fit into the village's comprehensive plan, and that is our fiscal responsibility to seek a retail operation and not necessarily a service industry for the local location in question in order to generate more tax dollars and best serve our community.
Thank you. I do have to make a comment. I don't think there's anybody up here who questions the facilities at West Suburban. We all know about it, but please, if you're going to comment on the development. I think we're all in agreement. You've been a great business in the community. So if anybody else, if you could talk to us about the proposed development, I appreciate it. Thank you.
When we were watching the zoning tape, we realized that one of the members, Anton, didn't know there was a veterinarian in Westmont when he needed services, so we thought it was appropriate to maybe present the information. So the two other doctors that were going to talk, Dr. Grover was going to talk on some of our services that we offer, which are pretty outstanding. And then Dr. Vitt also was going to speak. He's a Westmont resident as well. He's a specialist within our practice that has a specialty in the Shar-Pei breed, and we get national recognition from that and clients that come from all over the country to visit our hospital for that purpose. So, but I'll move on to my presentation, which is probably more directly related to the nuts and bolts of all this. So I'd like to just say good evening and thank you to the mayor and the trustees for hearing me. And as I said, I'm Dr. Alan Main. I'm the owner of West Suburban Veterinary Associates. We're located at 518 North Warwick Avenue, approximately 500 feet from the proposed boarding, grooming, and veterinary facility. Obviously, I have a vested interest in opposing the requested special use and variance that is needed for the project. Having practiced veterinary medicine in Westmont for 27 years, my opposition is fueled by my concern for the welfare of the village and for the generation of clients that I have had the good fortune to care for. Further, having been encouraged to move off the auto mile of Ogden Avenue to make room for a tax-generating business seems incredibly contrary to what is being considered this evening. My plan in this presentation is to highlight the more detailed email document and to provide a few new pieces of information for you. Simply stated, the proposed project does not meet the criteria for the special use permit, nor does it meet the standards of the comprehensive plan, and most importantly, it extinguishes all future revenue from this prime retail location. Let's look at the reasons why, starting with noise, odor, and waste, which conflict with the granting of the special use permit. In the zoning meeting, it was stated there would be no noise from this indoor facility that would affect the neighbors to the rear of the building. This defies reason, experience, and logic. West Suburban Vet was also built by RWE. Our exterior walls are composed of insulation, concrete block, and brick, a virtual fortress. When 3 or 4 dogs are barking in our dog ward, the noise can easily be heard outside the building. According to Dr. Kramer, the proposed facility will be his largest and includes the likelihood of a 24-hour operation. Using his Plainfield building as an example, we were told by a staff member that they board up to 250 dogs on a busy weekend and holidays. Keep in mind, sound will carry through the vents and the doors, especially when employees are taking waste to the dumpster. Logic must prevail here. There will be noise pollution of the adjacent properties. Speaking of waste, using simple math, even when running at half capacity, 125 dogs will produce 2 stools per day, resulting in 250 stools each day in the facility. No matter how you color it, the dumpster in the rear of the building will be odorous. When preparing for the meeting, I was struck by 2 elements that have a big impact on the village as a whole. First, lost revenue, and second, the Westmont Comprehensive Plan. Beginning with lost revenue, we are all aware that municipalities across the country were affected by the economy. Budgets and services have been cut as a result. Vacant lots and rundown buildings are not uncommon. Hence, retail revenue is at a premium. Fortunately, the economic recovery is getting stronger. The Auto Mile and the Ogden and Cass District are high visibility corridors and are prime areas for retail businesses. All of us know the value of retail space, and so does Dr. Kramer. When informally asking the Hinsdale Board about rezoning his current location, he was told it would be an uphill battle and that a lesser visible site was available in the village. In an article in the Hinsdale Doings, Dr. Kramer was quoted as saying, "They want the visibility Ogden Avenue offers." Well, why wouldn't he? It's great property. Hinsdale Village President T. Cawley referenced their 2008 comprehensive plan and indicated no zoning change would be granted. As you know, vet hospitals are service businesses generating 0 tax dollars, not only over the next couple years, not in 10 years, not in 15 years, not in 20 years. What a costly mistake this would be. The lost revenue could repair a street, hire a fireman, or even a police dog like Dex. Further, vet hospitals are final destination businesses. They simply do not generate tangential retail shopping. The boarding vet facility is incongruent with further retail development. Secondly, the Village Comprehensive Plan calls for a variety of businesses, as well as a healthy and complementary mix across key corridors. By viewing the map of the greater Westmont area, it's obvious that there's no need for additional veterinary, boarding, and grooming services in Westmont, let alone the Ogden and Cass district. The orange dots represent veterinary hospitals. The yellow dots represent boarding and grooming. Many times boarding and grooming are housed together. And the red dot represents the location of the new facility, essentially on top of the West Suburban Vet. Oversaturation of a fully built community is not healthy. A variety of business in a community will attract people with diverse tastes and interest to the area to shop, dine, and more. The Village Comprehensive Plan clearly calls for tax-generating businesses on Ogden in the Ogden and Cass district. The document also states that service businesses are to be located in the lesser visibility areas from Ogden Avenue. In fact, there is a repeating theme throughout the document that shows that the Kramer boarding vet facility is not compliant with the Village Comprehensive Plan. The Comprehensive Plan is the voice of the people of Westmont, as well as a map for the village's future. Deviation from the plan weakens its foundation, compromises the best interest of the village, and in the end makes the plan unenforceable going forward. Hence, the decision is about more than tax revenue, more than noise, odor, and waste pollution, and more than market saturation. The decision is about protecting the integrity of the village plan by using the collective wisdom of this working document to make decisions. Validate the Village Comprehensive Plan and the citizens of Westmont by voting no. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Well, I'd ask if there's anyone else who'd like to come to the podium, please come up, state your name.
And Dr. Vitt is a Westmont resident, so he may want to speak,
okay,
but not about the specialty
again, we
club,
we're trying not to be repetitive, and if you could limit it to less than three minutes, that's great.
I will do my best. Thank
Okay.
you for hearing me. My name is Graham Merkin. I'm a Westmont resident for the last 10 years at 433 South Washington, and I am a veterinarian in Downers Grove. My family has been in the veterinary business on Ogden Avenue in Downers Grove for close to 70 years. So I am in opposition to this. I don't believe that we need this here, and it's not about me competing with Dr. Kramer, okay? I do believe that it would be wrong for village government to create a competitive advantage for a new veterinarian over an established veterinarian in urging one to leave a high visibility corridor and then allowing another one to move in. So consider that. Jason, I have the utmost respect for. He redesigned our facility a couple of years ago on Ogden Avenue. He did a fantastic job, right? We do have sound control issues. On Memorial Day, we got a call at 5 in the morning from a neighbor who heard a howling dog. You cannot be guaranteed that these residents will not hear this facility if there's, we did 12 dogs. That's our capacity. One dog can create 90 decibels. A subway train creates 95. You add the finishes that are used in a kennel that create reverberation, and then you add other dogs joining in the fun, you can easily get up over 100, oftentimes 120 decibels. I'm quoting numbers from a well-known study done on shelters. There will be sound. Don't know if it will be heard. But in the middle of the night, when you don't have the drone of cars on Ogden Avenue, you don't have the background noise, and it's springtime and it's fall, and those residents open their windows, they will hear this facility. And I would just reiterate that I am a Westmont resident, and this does not fit with the comprehensive plan. I would consider it fiscally irresponsible, and I would ask you to vote no. Thank you.
Lines will keep coming. If there's anybody else, here we go.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and trustees. My name is Terry Farrell, and I'm a Westmont resident. I live at 331 North Wilmette, and I live in the close proximity of where the proposed veterinary clinic is to be. My concern goes with respects to public safety on a couple levels. One is where with the one ingress egress, you're going to have it very close to the Wilmette Street. At the current time, we have 15 children on our street that are the age of 6 years old and under. And we also have we have 3 adults who are in the age range of 80 years and plus. I have personal friends on our street who are a couple who are both in their 80s, and the gentleman is housebound. His concern right now, even presently, is the traffic down our street, is the situation of his wife going to get the mail, bringing in the garbage. My concern is that given that some of the clients are from the Hinsdale or Burr Ridge area, they may be cutting down the Wilmette Avenue in order to get to Chicago or Naperville, whatever it is there. Thus adding additional traffic. As it is, we currently have some test drive traffic going through our neighborhood already from the auto mile. So that is one of my concerns. Also, I believe Dr. Kramer noted that most of his clientele is from like Hinsdale, Burr Ridge, and LaGrange. So for me personally, I don't see where that clientele is necessarily going to make the trip down Cass Avenue to visit our great downtown area. I think it's going to be like I do, take your dog to the vet, pick your dog up from the vet, take the fastest way home, which is going to be Ogden Avenue. So there you're looking at the Ogden Avenue mile. And again, as it has been previously spoken on other occasions, not only the village report, but also the issue of boarding, because as I said, I do live in close proximity. I don't know that I would hear it immediately, but it could get loud and the odor could be difficult, especially when I'm walking my dog as well. Thank you for your time.
Ladies first. Oh. I caught him. He was sneaking up there fast.
I'm no lady. I'm Barbara. My name is Barbara DeLassis. I live at 515 North Cass Avenue, and I'm in Westmont. I'm a resident of Westmont. I'm a volunteer at West Suburban Humane Society. I also work with Canine Companions for Independence, and just finishing up my last year on the board of Animal Rescue Center in Fort Myers, Florida. Most of the 3 pages that I wanted to talk about have already been said. So this will sound disjointed compared to the lovely tome I wrote before I came here. I think some of the important points are, in one of the board meetings, or one of the pieces of paper, Dr. Kramer said he likes to build in residential areas for convenience. I don't know where his other places are. I would wonder how many of them are actually in residential areas. Okay, and he also said that he couldn't find a place in Hinsdale, and we've heard differently from that. He also says that he will sort of partner with Pet Supply Plus and bring the synergy to those 2 businesses. Pet Supply Plus is a national company with 1,000, 2,000, 20,000 stores, and I understand his want to do that, but I wonder how many other businesses he would destroy or minimize because of his presence here. There are, as I think your name's Dr. Main, as Dr. Main said, or showed in a picture, there's plenty of us. I also have a concern about the boarding. I looked at the picture the drawing, architectural drawing. It looks really nice. But most of the boardings could be done on the second story where there are virtually no windows or very small windows. And because I'm an animal advocate, I'm already uncomfortable with up to 200 animals being indoors for some period of time. But add to that, they don't even get daylight is kind of problematic for me. He lists the number of employees he's going to have. He's going to hire 2 people to clean the kennels, but he specifically says that he's not going to hire any other people to take care of the animals that are in the kennels. It's a small number of technicians he's going to have. I want to know who's going to take care of the animals. With Westmont First, I think this flies in the face of that as well. Including, you want to do small businesses and high retail, and it flies against that. We already have severe traffic issues in the neighborhood. I live on Cass. I don't know how much effect it would have on me, but I do know that there are days when I have to sit in my driveway for 10 minutes because people are rude enough not to let me pull out. I can't imagine what order of magnitude that would increase. We talked about the diminishing property values, and his papers say that that because all of every aspect of the facility will be indoors, that there won't be any diminishing property values. It's really not about the property values. If you look at your standards, we're supposed to, as a board, or as a village, we're supposed, I don't know, you, are supposed to provide facilities that will not impinge on other people's use and enjoyment of their property. I work at humane societies. I know what noise they can generate, and I'm frankly not interested in having a barbecue in my backyard with 200 dogs barking in the next building. So I just ask that you consider the whole picture, the residents and the animals, and most importantly, the tax revenue that you won't get, and vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now the gentleman in the back can sneak up there before another lady stands up.
My name's Chris Kelly. I'm a 16-year resident of Westmont, live at 1016 Ashford. I don't agree with this project. I'm opposed to it. I agree with the comprehensive plan of Automobile Road. I'm also a builder, and I built 3 of their car dealerships on Automobile Road and worked on 2 others. And I know the economy went bad, things slowed down, we lost some dealerships, but things are coming back. I have some people talking about doing some preliminary work on a couple buildings that are empty and trying to remodel them. I know that this space, along with the corner, would be wonderful for Napleton to move into or put another used car building or a small building. So I think if we could wait 3 years, or definitely in 7, we'll have a much better project that could generate tax revenue on this property.
Thank you.
My name's Max Merkin. I'm a Westmont resident, 248 James Drive, and I just want to say that I oppose this project. I don't think that it fits with the village comprehensive plan. This plan was put in place for a reason. We have to act responsibly and make sure we make the right decision to put a retail space in there.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Jeff Vitt, and I'm an associate veterinarian at West Suburban Veterinary Associates. Been a Westmont resident for 33 years at 210 South Park Street in Westmont. My wife, her family has been at 21 East Des Moines for over 50 years as residents. And I guess the main thing that I have running through my mind, does anybody else see something funny about having 2 veterinary hospitals within 500 feet of each other on Ogden Avenue, or off of Ogden Avenue, but within that close relationship? We already have West Suburban Veterinary Associates as a world-class hospital with world-class facilities. It just sees why reinvent the wheel and use up prime retail space for another animal hospital that won't generate tax revenue for Westmont. And so I'm opposed to this as well.
Thank you. He beat you.
Howard Hoff. I live at 712 South Wilmette, Westmont. I've been a resident for almost 30 years. And I would like to encourage the board to vote against it. You know, I'm excited as a village resident that we're a village that's adopting a vision. And you had a great report that was done last year. That report says, let's use this as our plan for future development and zoning. So I encourage the board to do that. You know, and the use that's being proposed is inconsistent with that plan. We've only given it 1 year. You know, let's see what happens. We have an improving economy, improving real estate market. Give it a chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Village Board. My name is Bill Iwinski. I live at 512 North Wilmette. Most of you know me about our issues with the traffic. My question is, this facility, again, only has one egress and ingress onto Ogden Avenue. The east outlet that goes onto Ogden, is there going to be room for left turn and right turn out of that? Has anybody ever gone to Pet Supply on a Saturday? They've got one entrance exit, and the cars back up in Pet Supply Plus when somebody tries to make a left on Ogden, because there is only one turn lane to come in, one turn lane to come out. Now, if this is a right turn only, again, where's that traffic going to go? It's going to make a right and go right down Wilmette. And as the trustees know, with me and traffic on Wilmette, it gets bad. My other question is, he says he's going to board up to 250 dogs. Now, when Dr. Main brought his property, his business over to Warwick, they at the old facility they had a place there that they had somebody that slept overnight in case of problems. You're going to have 250 dogs at this place. Is this facility going to have a caretaker overnight? So now you've got living quarters on the property. If not, you're going to have 250 dogs there overnight with nobody watching them. What happens if there's a fire? What happens if there's a flood? What happens to 250 dogs? The other thing he said in his planning and zoning, 35,000 customers a year. That comes out to 96 a day. 96 people in and out of that facility in a day. And if that's an 8-hour day or a 24-hour day, I'm not sure. But that's a lot of traffic. So my concerns are about the dogs. I've had 3 dogs. Dr. Main has taken care of our dogs through good and through bad for 30-some years. I just don't see this as a good fit. It's a beautiful building. It's a good facility, but not at this place. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, no. The guy who was sleeping in the front row. I saw you sleeping, Frank.
Frank Trout, 328 North Wilmette. I oppose this project for all the reasons mentioned before. I believe I'd like to encourage the village board to follow the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you. That was good.
I was going to say, never heard one.
That's why.
Never heard one that short from you.
I know you did promise. He did make a promise he wouldn't speak anymore in public. Okay.
I know. For those that don't know me, I'm Judy Cubis. I'm a longtime resident and a business owner in this town. And I really want this board to really consider the comprehensive. We need that property to stay for retail sales. And good luck to Tony in future ventures, but I really don't think he fits in our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, June.
Hopefully a couple more, and then we can
My name is Mylan Oklepek. I'm a retired attorney. I've served over 5 years on the Westmont Zoning Board of Appeals. And with my wide experience, I feel that this location is not appropriate for the subject business. And the reason I state that is there is going to be barking dogs. Don't kid yourself. They'll be barking before they go in the door. They'll be barking as they go out the door. I live 1.5 miles from the subject property, and I can hear traffic on Ogden Avenue when the windows are open. I'm going to certainly hear dogs barking on Ogden Avenue. Secondly, the sales tax. This is a service organization. They won't be paying any sales tax. You won't be getting any tax. This is a prestigious location on Ogden Avenue. You've got Lamborghini next door with a with an expensive car. You've got Porsche next door to that. You've got a BMW or a Mercedes across the street. These are prestigious organizations. To insert this clinic, dog clinic, it'll be totally out of place, totally. And what I'm suggesting to this board is that they deny the petitioner's request for a special permit and urge them to apply for a location in the Westmont zoning industrial area across the street, with the area there with the warehouses and such. They won't be bothering any neighbors, and this is what the concern of us as neighbors are. So if he can locate in that area, I think he'd be satisfied, and he'd still be in Westmont. Thank you for your attention.
Sir, anybody has new information or anything they'd like to add? Again, evening.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Willis, and I reside at 213 Rosewood Court, and I have been a resident for 22 years, and I'm a voting resident. And I have to concur with what has been spoken about this evening. And again, talking to the comprehensive plan, all of our village leaders have worked so hard and so diligent to put this plan together, and it would just be a shame to disregard that. But I would like to speak to what the staffing and the concern for the dog's welfare. According to the American Society of Prevention of Cruelty in Animals, a rule of thumb for adequate staffing is to have a minimum of 1 employee per 10 to 15 dogs. The daycare's play area should ideally provide 75 to 100 square feet per dog. So for example, if there are 25 dogs, the play area should be about 2,500 square feet. Ventilation, it's a critical disease prevention measure. And the concern of dogs not going outside and being inside, and as a dog owner, we work so hard and so diligent to teach our dogs to go to the bathroom outside and not to have accidents. And there's going to be dogs that are going to try to hold it, and that is unhealthy for them. And I know that we're talking about turf that can drain, but how many times a day is that going to be washed down? The cleanliness. I sure would not ever have my dog boarded in a facility that could not see the day of light. And I don't know why or doubt that any other dog or cat lover would ever use a kennel like the service like the one that is being proposed. That said, I would like our village board to also take into consideration the adverse effect on the animals who would be boarded at the facility like this. The stress of being confined, not being given any outdoor time, susceptibility to contracting disease from other animals in extremely close proximity, and the noise factor alone would be extremely detrimental to an animal's well-being. Myself and others are in the process of contacting many other animal welfare groups as possible to express our opposition to this project. And I think you just need to listen to us as residents and who care about animals. And the other thing is I'm dealing with it every day, and I know you hear from us being on Rosewood Court and Wilmette. The traffic is horrendous. And I agree with other people saying people are coming from Hinsdale and Burr Ridge, and they are going to take shortcuts. They're not going to necessarily take Ogden Avenue. And we deal with these Porsches driving through and speeding through and disregard to us as residents. And we just had another incident with Porsche again, as you know, where they didn't notify us that they're having an event. And we're tired of it. And so I totally oppose having this facility come to Westmont, and you please take into consideration the humane care that we need for our animals. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's any new stuff, come on up.
Dave Kellett, 205 Rosewood Court. I live about 200 feet from my property boundary from the facility. I love animals dearly. I grew up on a farm, but I think, you know, there's reason public policy kind of separates things, and, you know, I don't really think this does that very well. Just a couple comments. You know, if you guys decide that's what you have to do to grant it, then by all means, don't give stuff away. You know, losing tax revenue is one thing, but they can petition to have their gross revenue subject to a special fee. You're the village board. You could grant them that. Take their gross receipts and multiply it by the going tax rate. They could do that if they really wanted to support the community in that rate. The other side of this is that if you are going to grant a variance, give the homeowners some assurance that they can enjoy the residence where they live. I mean, first of all, they said they're not going to have anything outside. This is great. Then put in the ordinance, you know, explicitly banning any outdoor boarding or presence of animals, period, except for unloading from transport vehicles. Because what I'm afraid of is the next manager comes along and said, well, gee, I didn't know about that, and so I'm just exercising the dogs in the parking lot.
It's in the draft ordinance already.
Good, thank you. Second, you know, no building windows should be able to be opened. I don't know if that's that, but it should be in the ordinance that, you know, somebody can't accidentally have a window open. So there shouldn't be any windows that can be open where dogs are. So, you know, just minimize it. Why not put a fence line noise limit? Anything over 60 dBA, that's normal conversation. If you can measure that at the fence line, they're against, you know, they've missed the ordinance. You know, they've missed the variance. And let the architect figure that out. You know, I don't want to do that. The animals, I think the other thing is, I don't want to see the animals of the facility causing other neighbors' animals to become agitated and bark. I grew up on a farm. I know how animals are. You know, they're sympathetic for each other. You know, you get one dog barking, and what happens to another dog? And, you know, it's not, I don't want it to be my problem. But to me, if their animals are causing agitation in the community, then let them figure it out. Otherwise, suspend their license. I think the facility should contain and control any nuisance odors as detected from the property line. If you can smell it, again, it's their problem. You know, I don't want to smell it. I bought my house. I really enjoy sitting out in the summer. I don't want to smell that. Finally, I think you got to put some teeth in the ordinance. Okay, if there's police reports more than 2 or 3 times, you guys decide that. But then their license to operate is suspended until they can remediate it. None of this, well, gee, you know, we're going to try our best. But, you know, put some teeth into the thing and put the onus on them. If they really think that they can do this, they've got a smart architect, you know, fine. But then if they can't deliver, then they need to cease operation. Thanks.
Thank you. Now, that was new. That was different.
Good evening. My name is Katie McGovern. I'm a 9-year resident of Westmont. I live at 22 North Adams Street. You may recognize that address because I live next door to our beloved town hoarder. And I thank everyone for the professionalism in my complaints with regard to all the garbage on her property. It took me several years to save for a privacy fence so that I could combat the wildlife that I've come to know so well crawling over her property to mine. And I followed the rules exactly that I was told to, and I would just encourage us to do the same. There's been a lot of eloquence here tonight about care for the animals and care for our veterinarians who live or work in the area. But I would say as a resident, I would ask that we adhere to the guidelines, and I'm very much opposed to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Evening.
My name is Linda Vitt, 210 South Park Street. I've been a resident of Westmont for over 50 years, but I'm really only 49 years old.
I was going to say, you're not even 50. So.
Don't take that to heart. I love the direction. I'm excited about the way Westmont is taking their economic development through the comprehensive plan. I don't think bigger is better. I think you need to think through that phrase. And also, just because you're able to fill a vacancy doesn't mean you should fill the vacancy. To give thought to where that's going to take us with the tax revenue today, tomorrow, many years from now. So I am opposed to the construction of the new clinic, and I thank you all for your time.
Thank you. All right, you can come in, John. You're sneaking through the door, so I mean, you almost wait until I said I'm done, I'm closed. No, that's all right.
My name is John Bright, and I've been a Westmont resident for over 35 years. I'm also a retired employee of the village and had 27 years with the village. I am opposed to this situation in terms of this location. I find it appalling that the Planning and Zoning Board would actually promote this to come this far, simply for the fact that to put two businesses of the same nature within 500 feet of each other along Ogden Avenue is almost like we're setting one of the businesses up to fail. And that should not be what the intent is of not only the Planning and Zoning Commission, but as well as this board. The other thing I mentioned, which is outside of what everybody else had mentioned, I couldn't count the number of parking spots that were available. It's a beautiful building, but it sure looks like for that small of a lot, it's going to suck up a lot of that land. Parking's going to be at a minimum. If the gentleman's calculations were correct and they're talking about 92 cars a day, you're talking 10, 11, 12 cars in an hour, plus some overlap, plus 2 people working the kennel area, a couple of doctors, a receptionist, maybe 6 to 7 employees at a time. You're talking up to 20, 25 cars. I don't know if there was 25 spots there. Also, having a small business in town, I do snow plowing, which nobody ever thinks about. Just about every business I snow plow in this type of a size lost 3 or 4 parking spots this year. So you have to add that on above and beyond the number of spots that are there. There's nowhere else to park if they do have any overflow. And that's about all I had that was not overlapping.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Mr. Mayor.
Evening.
My name is Don Farrell. I'm with 331 North Wilmette. I had a question. Should you vote yes? He comes in, and a couple years down the road, he sees that he's not generating the revenue that he's expecting, and he pulls out. What happens then? What do we do with that building? Only you can put a veterinarian building. Does the village have a plan for that? Any thought to that?
Probably. I don't think we have a plan for any building that gets built. We hope
But
they're
I'm saying,
successful.
They build it, and 2 years down the road, he sees that he's not making what he thought he's going to make, and they just pull out. Now we're stuck with a building that hasn't generated anything for the village. You got an awesome comprehensive plan. Stick with it. Don't veer away from it. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. All right, we will then close the kind of the open opportunity for people to comment, and we will ask if you guys have any response back to any of those questions you want to answer. I mean, the parking, the last one, I know that met our requirements. Jill, I don't know if there's any of the other things you just want to comment on before I allow the board then to start.
No, absolutely. I mean, a couple of maybe misunderstandings about this facility that I could see right off the bat that will address a lot of those concerns. One is it will be our biggest facility, but it won't be our biggest boarding facility. And although I don't have an exact number of what, how many dogs would be in there, I would look at it being less than half of this 200 number that they were talking about, that they had heard at our other facility. We're looking at more luxury boarding. We're looking at less numbers. And the technology of building animal facilities, and Jason can address this better, has come a long way since any of the hospitals that were mentioned were built. And personally, I don't want to have animals barking in the areas where I'm providing medical care. I don't want to have animals barking in our lobby and have that be heard and be annoying within the facility itself. And that would happen way before we're going to hear barking through the kind of concrete walls and soundproofing that we're planning on putting in this facility.
So I try to take notes. There were a lot of residents, and I want to try to address as much as I can. There was talk about adoptions, and Tony didn't hit on the exact numbers, but to date, 10,000 adoptions, Tony?
Through all of our facilities.
So the adoption is a big part of that, not to minimize what was discussed on that. There was some discussion on the lost revenue, and I think that's a big part of this and that's why, I don't know if this will come up we talked about this with Pet Supplies Plus and the concept of us even joining the two buildings together. And from the standpoint of, she is full retail, and Tony has clients coming in that'll be waiting maybe an hour or something like that while he's looking at their pets. And the concept was that they could go next door and shop next door. So even I believe one of the commissioners, and I don't want to quote him, but is Commissioner Greg Pill, who helped put the comprehensive plan together at the meeting last month. He discussed it. He thought you guys would see increase in tax revenue based on this building being next to Pet Supplies Plus. His comment was, I think this is an excellent use or a perfect use of this property. And regarding the property has sat vacant for 2 years. We've talked about the Porsche dealer expanding to the west, but obviously there's a resale shop that has no intent on going anywhere soon. So when the comp plan, my understanding when the comp plan was done, that was during the time that Pet Supplies Plus was coming in. Obviously, the comprehensive plan is a vision. It's ultimately, depending on what happens, you got to look at what's coming in there. As Tony said, we're not looking to do 250 dogs. The size of the runs at his facility that does board 250 dogs is 3-foot wide runs. We're talking about 6-foot wide runs, much bigger. We're trying to appeal to a different clientele, providing what we would call luxury boarding. The sound odor, I know we've had the great fortune of building some very nice facilities of some of your residents and the hospitals in town. The construction has changed, even from the most recent one being Downers Grove. We are doing things differently. We are putting in more sound panels. The way that we're designing, and even at these other facilities where Tony has them, the dogs used to face each other. They would be across from each other looking at each other. If you look over our floor plan, none of the dogs will be facing each other to avoid the agitation which causes barking. A dog usually sitting alone will not be encouraged to bark the way two dogs across from each other would. So we're trying to improve the design, ultimately improve the quality of life for the residents around these facilities. I heard one of the residents saying that dogs will hold it. The indoor boarding facilities is not new. We're not the pioneers of it. I'd love to take credit for it. There's a facility near O'Hare and soon to be by Midway called Paradise for Paws. And it's indoor play areas. They're setting them up by airports for people that travel and can leave their dogs there. So what we're doing is nothing new. The dogs use the turf just like they would. We've put this turf in outdoor areas because usually the dogs, if they use it on natural grass, they'll kill the grass. So they feel comfortable on the turf. They will relieve themselves on turf. One of the gentlemen said about the outdoor exercise area, and I think he commented too, there is no outdoor exercise area. I mean, dogs coming in, will they bark? Potentially they will bark, but no different than they will going in Pet Supplies Plus. It's the same type of environment. Fence, there was a concern about protecting the kids in the neighborhood. We are proposing a fence along that south property line, as well as intense landscaping. Talking about the services, you know, somebody touched on the hours of service. One of the things that we thought was a bonus is Tony's typical hours are 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Saturday, he's going till 5 o'clock p.m. at nights, 8 to 5, and then Sunday, 9 to 5, Tony. And I think right now, you're not finding some of those hours in the surrounding veterinary hospitals. If you have a problem at those hours, you're going to go to an emergency and you're going to pay higher prices. So we are trying to offer a different service. It's non-appointment based, where most of the other hospitals are appointment based. So we're trying to appeal to a different clientele, not necessarily trying to compete with these people that are right around the corner. We talk about this lot that's been vacant for 2 years. Obviously, you guys are familiar with what goes on over there. I think the building that we're proposing will be a nice addition to the architecture in the village of Westmont. There's a lot of talk about the comprehensive plan and the retail, and I tried to go through the comprehensive plan because we'd gotten some feedback that was going to be a real concern. Are you guys adhering to the comprehensive plan? And when we read through it, we read through some of the goals of commercial areas, and one of them was offering goods and services for local residents. The objectives to achieving that goal were surrounding land use, compatible size, scale, parking, screening, landscaping, and critical community services. We feel like the size of our building is compatible to the adjacent building. The use is obviously very similar, as the adjacent owner has said she would love to see us over there. We do feel like we will provide a critical community service. I mean, the adoption is one that, along with the care that Tony's planning to provide, rehabilitation is not a service that's offered around here. Some of the obedience classes, there's more than just what is offered currently around here. The second goal was enhancing the economic viability, appearance, function of the village's commercial corridors with complementary mix of commercial, retail services along key corridors. So part of when I read through the plan was it's a mix of not only retail but also of services. The second was require high quality developments, design, building materials, landscaping, and signage controls on prominent corridors such as Ogden, especially in high areas of visibility such as entry points to the community. I think what we're proposing is very high quality of building materials. I think it's right in as you start to enter on Ogden Avenue, and you can see by the drawings that we proposed, it should be a beautiful building for people coming into the village to see this is what to expect in Westmont. There was a note in regards to the facade of the exterior of the building and being able to see into the building. And one of the pictures that the architect had shown was the building lit up at night. We got a full glass facade on the north and on the east. And I think it's really going to stand out as a beacon for not only the residents of Westmont to enjoy, but the surrounding communities.
I think one other thing I would just address is the comments regarding the welfare and the care of the pets. And I would love nothing more than this facility to have staffing 24 hours a day. Our hospital in Plainfield does, and it's a huge service to the community, and people in our hospital in Hinsdale beg for that type of care because they have to go pretty far away to get that kind of care in the evenings. So the notion of just leaving these animals alone at night is not our plan. But anyhow, I think, anything else there?
That's great. Okay. I mean, thank you. I wanted to give you the opportunity to respond to a couple of those comments. And what I'm looking for from the board, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 motions that are required. 1 and 3 go together, 2 and 4, and then 5 and 6. So,
does the public have a chance to rebut?
No, not now. No. Thank you.
On points that you just made that weren't made.
I'm sorry. We've already gone beyond that. I'm sorry. I mean, I can open it up and then we can keep going on and on. I think I gave everybody opportunity to talk about it, and they had about 5 or 10 minutes to finish it up. So I need a motion for items 1 and 3, which are special use permit request to operate a veterinarian office, and 3, special use permit request to operate an indoor kennel.
Motion to approve 1 and 3, Nero.
Second, Addington.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve 1 and 3. On the question. Trustee Addington? No? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
No.
Trustee Addington.
No.
Trustee Scott.
No.
Trustee Barker.
No.
Trustee Seneca.
No.
Trustee Barry.
No.
Now I need a motion for.
No, it's
I'm
dead,
sorry.
isn't it? Isn't it dead?
Did we vote?
It's 1 and 3 if you need the other.
Oh, it's dead.
It is dead, but if, you know, you can either stop there, or if you want to vote for the record, let's go ahead and get a vote.
We'll vote for the record. 2 and 4 needs a motion. Zoning code variance request for veterinarian office to be located within 100 feet of the residential district. And 4, zoning code variance request for an indoor kennel to be located within 100 feet of a residence district.
Motion to approve 2 and 4, Nero.
Second, Addington.
Motion been made second. On the question, roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
No.
Trustee Barker.
No.
Trustee Seneca.
No.
Trustee Barry.
No.
Trustee Addington.
No.
Trustee Scott.
No.
I'm looking for a motion for 5, site and landscaping plan review.
Motion to approve 5, Nero.
Second, Addington.
Motion been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
No.
Trustee Seneca.
No.
Trustee Barker.
No.
Trustee Addington.
No.
Trustee Barry.
No.
Trustee Scott.
No.
And I'm looking for number 6, a motion for commercial masonry waiver request.
Motion to approve number 6, Nero.
Second, Addington.
Motion's made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
No.
Trustee Addington.
No.
Trustee Scott.
No.
Trustee Barker.
No.
Trustee Seneca.
No.
Trustee Barry.
No.
Okay, I want to thank everybody who came here this evening. I know it's been a long evening, but I appreciate your patience with us, and we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is D, liquor license. Was that for the Westmont Park District liquor license?
Apparently, because you're doing such a great job running the meeting.
For it.
Yeah, give them a minute. The cheering was for the liquor license.
And again, thank everybody. We'll move on to new business D. And we hear liquor license waiver, Westmont Park District. I think we hear board to consider an ordinance approving a special events liquor license fee waiver. I'm hoping to hear for the annual 4th of July fireworks celebration on July 4th, 2014. The Westmont Park District requests the board waive a total of $100 in fees. Manager Searle.
This event is a family-friendly community event to celebrate the 4th of July. The Westmont Police Department will provide security during beer and alcohol sales per ordinance.
Again, this is a joint event really between the village. It's a community event. So
It's pretty typical, don't we do this every year?
year it's the same.
Motion to approve Seneca.
Second, Barker.
By Wham.
Motion been made and seconded by Nero or Barker?
Barker.
Barker. On the question?
Sure, whatever you guys said.
I'm sorry. It's been moved and seconded to approve the waiver. Roll call, please.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Miscellaneous, is there any trustees that have anything they'd like to add?
Although I'm not a trustee, I have one thing to add.
Not a trustee.
Oh!
Whoa! Whoa, he jumped out ahead of you, Harold.
Yeah. I'd like to request an executive session also to discuss pending litigation, which is the Farmers Insurance class action lawsuit. And it will be a very brief update.
Yeah, I'll
Oh,
say.
2 reasons.
I do have 2 reasons. I'll read them when we look for that motion. Any miscellaneous tonight?
I don't think we'll ever have to explain the comprehensive plan again.
No, it's all been explained to us.
We had a lot of public input on it,
Yes,
that's
we
for
did.
sure. Not
And you
just
know
tonight,
what's
other
good about
nights.
that? They all looked at it, and I think they
all read it.
now understand it, so that's good.
Under miscellaneous, though, I would like to piggyback on what was discussed here tonight, that there is a major concern on Wilmette and Rosewood Court. That's been going on since I took office a year ago. It seems like we do a lot of meetings, and we kind of go nowhere with it. We're hearing from a lot more than just one resident tonight that that's an ongoing concern. I would really hope that this board takes some type of action sooner versus later. You know, we have talked about doing resident parking only. We've talked about no parking altogether. But I'd really like to see some action, and I would hope in the next coming weeks and months that we could take some action on it. I just wanted that for public record.
Thank you. And I've already requested with Public Works Director May that we include it, I should have asked the chair of the committee, on the safety committee.
Public safety or, first opportunity that you'd like.
Committee meeting. We're going to have it on the agenda, and we're going to have different options, and we'll have time.
I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
July
I think we
24th.
need to address it finally as a board at a committee level with staff, and then look at all the options so that we're not just all throwing things out at one time. So we all agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we all agree that there is issues there, and we need to look at it. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. If no other miscellaneous items, I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session for collective bargaining with public employees and pending litigation to discuss the Farmers Insurance class action lawsuit.
Or lack thereof.
Motion by Addington for both purposes.
Second, Scott.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn to executive session. Roll call, please.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
And I will, this meeting, there will not be any further business after the executive session. So after we get done, we'll just adjourn the regular meeting. So at this point, I'll adjourn this. We'll go in executive session at 8:23. This meeting is